Hello and welcome to the Weekly Scroll Podcast. My name is Ryan.
And I'm just a good old boy riding my demonic hog.
There you go. That's you. Getting on the hell ride. Okay. Anyway. Insane Ozo, thank you so much for the resub, dude. I think that's what, like 15 months? 14 months? It's crazy.
We love you.
But
genuinely.
Our number one fan. So today, look at us. We're on the show. Hunter's still here.
We did it.
He didn't leave us. Today, we're going to be going over. Let me bring this whole stack over. We're going to be going over a little game called. Come on, sit down.
Yeah, keep the suspense.
Hell Knight.
Whoa.
Yeah. From I'm gonna butcher it. Gavriel Quiroga. We have previously reviewed something of theirs before. It's Warpland. Warpland is great.
Warpland is one of my favorite pages of any RPG ever. Do you know what page I'm talking about? It's the Sky page.
Dude, I was gonna say the Sky page.
It's such a good page, dude.
It's a good page.
And for those of you who have not seen the episode, maybe you've listened to it, but you haven't seen it, but there's a page that has like what the sky looks like in the Warplands at that given time and like kind of the effects that go along with it. And it's beautiful. Like it's 2 pages. It's color coded and like, is it 6 pages or 3 pages, 4 pages?
It's 2 spreads. Yeah.
2 spreads. 2 spreads, 4 pages.
Did you not see me showing it to stream?
Yeah. I did. I looked down and you were changing it. I don't know, man. Point being, sick. I love it. It's my favorite part of it. I mean, I like a lot about Warplanes, but for some reason, those pages always really stood out to me.
No, they're really, really fucking good. I have the original floppy Warpland, and then Warpland was put out as a hardback. That's freaking beautiful. Prior to that, we got Neuro City, which there is the colorblind version of this, which I think was put out in hardback too. I don't know. I backed on a Kickstarter, so eventually I'll get that version of Neuro City as well. And
can't you play like Neuro City into Warplanes or vice versa? Isn't there like
you can? Yeah. There's like a dimension or a thing that you can do, or like there's a whole section on how you can put the two together, and one is also that like the Warplands exist and like Neuro City's in like a bubble or something, so it like exists simultaneously, but they don't realize each other.
I like that. I think more creators that create like multiple games should do stuff like that, because I'm like, oh, like what a fucking good idea, like
such a good idea. Warpland also came with the Forbidden Book of Tangible Reality, which was basically just like a mini book for just like the core rules, which is actually dope. And I love this. I wish more people did this as well. Yeah, and totally. Dope piece of art. It's great. But Hell Knight, I went hard on the whole stack here. It came with the book, which is gorgeous. This printing, I know you can't see it on stream
or on podcast.
But all of the color is like raised up off of the book, so it's all textured. It's got a little bit of a shine to it. It feels really nice. It's a really, really nice printing. The pages are really nice and thick.
Describe for us the cover. What's on the cover, Ryan?
So the cover is like, it's kind of like the sun flaring, but the flares are blue. And then there is a like goat head with a star carved into their forehead and like blood. And they're in robes sitting on a throne holding like a black beam of energy. And then it says Hell Knight limited Kickstarter edition, like right there, which makes me think and hope that there might be like another non-limited Kickstarter edition in the future, you know? It also came with
it's the Iron Maiden font almost for where it says Hell Knight, you know?
Oh yeah, it really is, because it's got like the things that stick out the sides.
Yeah.
It came with a GM screen as well.
Oh, cool.
Which is pretty dope, pretty sick.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, and then it actually has cool information on the inside that you need, which is nice.
Yeah. So it's like it's a full mural on one side of the GM screen, and the other side's very cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a poster, which is one of the pieces. It's got like it's like a studded glove holding a chain. It says it's the roaring 80s and hell just broke loose. Literally, it's a Doom biker RPG. And then last but not least, this did not come with the Kickstarter. It came later. This is the second version of this tape, but it is the Psycho Maze Club I Hate Your Soul sanitized cassette tape with music for Hell Knight. The original version was like a yellow and red. This is like a black and red. And then HDK 151 actually from our friends at Heimat der Katastrophe is the official Hell Knight soundtrack that's only in digital now, but I do think I just saw on Gavriel's page a nod that it is getting to cassette soon. So Hell Knight, that's what we're doing today. And we just, because I'm tired, we went through almost the entire catalog for Gavriel.
Yeah. Peripherals, by the way, like with all of this, like very cool peripherals. I think it's really funny because, like, you know, I have some friends who are like fairly punk, and by fairly I mean like a lot, and they do a lot of cassette tapes. And in the tabletop RPG space, the, like especially OSR, NSR, whatever space, loves cassette tapes. And I have several now, and I don't have a cassette player. So.
Same. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. I have a ton. I'm here's the thing is I'm looking for the right one, and I actually what I want is, and what I've been eyeing is one thing that plays both cassettes and vinyl records. And it exists because I had one, and there's a million of them on Amazon. I just have to find the one that's got like the vibes I want. But some of them will do cassette, vinyl, CD, radio, and have an aux cord. I had one of those before, and I loved it because you could literally just plug in anything you want. But yeah, I got a ton of cassettes and nothing to play with. Actually, complete side note, as we get completely sidetracked here at the beginning of the show, I saw this thing the other day on Twitter that talked about the music industry and where the money comes from. Apparently, I think it was all the way up to like maybe 2018. 2018 was the first year that I think vinyl actually outsold CDs again in like 10 or 12 years or something. Yeah, it is a superior format. Yeah, like
it does actually sound very nice.
It does.
So yeah.
Yeah, I would be completely okay if everything was like digital and we just went back to like cassettes and LPs and stuff. Like I really enjoy just the.
I'm just glad that my Walkman doesn't skip every time I like jump or go over a bump or like climb over a fence. You know.
I really wish I still had my it was the thing from the movie where like you could record stuff or play stuff with it. It had a little mic coming out. Maybe it was from like Home Alone or something. I don't know. Someone out in the comments will remember what I'm talking about. It was a little gray.
But remember, I'm younger than you, so.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I'm a couple years older than you. But anyway, so hey, we're doing an episode. We're doing Hell Knight. I'm actually going to, for those in chat, you're getting secret surprises sometimes from now on. So let's throw that out there. I actually did what I wanted to do before. God, I wish I would have taken my Adderall. We got a little intro here for Hell Knight. So Hell Knight from Gavriel Quiroga, author of what we just showed, Neuroticity Warpland, as well as a card game called Asset. Put this out on Kickstarter. It funded on January 22nd, 2022 to 1,251 backers for $49,965. This Impressive. Is a Doom biker RPG. We'll get into a little bit of the things before. Real quick, one line. Actually, before I say that even, I do want to say that because I will forget by the end, Gavriel has a new Kickstarter coming out for another card game. This one's called Sigil, the Mirrored Reality. Sigil, colon, the Mirrored Reality. It is another card game, and it takes place in the Hell Knight universe. So that is actually up for like the pre-save on Kickstarter right now. I'll try to remember to throw that into the notes at the bottom. You know, where you find out the info that I put at the bottom. So that's coming out. But real quick, one line. What was your first impressions of Hell Knight? And then we'll hop into it.
Art book. Like this is by far and away more of an art book. I mean, it is definitely 100% game, but like this is an art book.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like it's rare that we actually go over very genuine art books. Like I know the very standard is to look back at Merkborg or Cyborg, but like this is another great example that I feel like it stands up just as tall, I guess, as an art book, like genuinely. So that's my impression.
Yeah, I mean, because Warplane was the same thing. I'm pretty sure Warplane was like #2 on our like art section when we did our year end. Yeah.
This one's probably above Warplane for me in terms of like being an art book.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I think Warplane was incredibly legible, and I think this one we'll see. So yeah. I think I agree with that 100%. I actually my first impression is I love this. I love pretty much every aspect of this game visually and play wise. And I can't wait to talk about it with you because I know that as far as I can tell from you, you like it. I don't know if you love it. So let's see.
Yeah, I think I like this a lot. I don't think it's like generally like my thing, but I think it's good. I don't think it's bad because it's not my thing, you know?
Gotcha. Well, let's hop in here to Hell Knight, Ride, Beyond, and Behold. We're back on that cover I was talking about, so I already described that, but it's a nice cover. Here's the thing, though. I do think I love the cover, but I actually like some of the art pieces in the back better than this, and I think would have made like a cool limited edition cover.
Funny, I think that this is maybe I'm scrolling to the back real quick to like I almost use the back as my background. Yeah, I like a lot of the stuff in the back. I think maybe the only piece, actually, this is definitely one of my favorite pieces. The only other piece that I think is one of my favorites is there's like one that's like a biker and he's green and the background's pink.
Yes.
And I think that's my other favorite. But like personally, I think this is a great cover.
That's what I'm talking about. So that's actually what I use for our social media, and that's actually the cover for the Heimat tape. So I'm very excited to get the Heimat tape because that looks dope as fuck.
I know what a social media post looks like.
Yeah, you look at any of those things. So yeah, so Hell Knight, a Doom biker role-playing game by Gavriel Quiroga. So I added a doubled from the front page here, like I said. So there's two copies of the cover. That's not normal in the PDF. I threw that in there so that if we kick to spreads, the spacing is right. Nice. Just something for, I think, PDF people to remember, because a lot of people make the PDF, it goes to the book, but like if you're looking at it in spreads PDF, it messes it up if you don't have that one extra cover page in the front. But here is the intro. Even before we get to anything else, like the page that talks about like who did what and etc. etc. There's this gorgeous page here. It's white on black. We're going to talk about this a bunch. So like, here's the thing for those in podcast land. This is an episode to come watch on YouTube. Like, this is a legit art book. Neither of us are going to be able to describe adequately how good a lot of this looks and how illegible a lot of it is. So I highly recommend, if you listen to this, to at least jump to YouTube and check it out, or go grab the PDF and flip through it yourself.
I agree. I could definitely say for this one art piece right here, that is a great silver box of exquisite design with 6 closed eyes, one on each side.
Yeah, we can say that exactly. Because that is the intro to the game. And what's dope about the original soundtrack to the game is that this page here, the kind of like core lore page for the whole book, was recorded and sounds fucking amazing. Oh, actually, give me 1 second. Gotta make sure it's on all the pages, was recorded as the first track on that thing, so you can actually just literally play that for your players to kick off what's going on. And I'm gonna read it. I'm not gonna read a lot of the other stuff because there's a lot of lore bits all the way through, but I think this one's a really important one to set the entire scene. So as Hunter said, this is the Herald. The Herald came in the form of a great silver box of exquisite design with 6 closed eyes, one on each side. Several demons had to wearily haul it to the Praetorian halls where the 77 archons gathered in the absence of their dark master. It says a little something right there. They placed the vexing artifact at the precinct's center for all to behold, and a great solemn silence settled just before the wretched lords uttered in unison their grave salute. Why have the celestial come to the kingdom of death and agony? A vibrating hum elevated in crescendo, shaking the hall to its foundations, until suddenly the closed eyes opened and the box unraveled itself in a marvelous convolution. Within, a naked divine child stood proudly, facing defiantly the myriad malformed hordes of darkness. Lords of condemnation, forsaken brothers, heed well. Your rebellious nature has brought your own reign under strife. Many of you have abandoned their thrones, thus risking cosmic balance. You have until dawn to remove these deserters from the realm of man, or else we will declare war. Storm your gate and restore order once and for all. As these last words were spoken, an explosion of blinding white light filled the Black Palace, cowing even the grim Death Lords. The angelic messenger was gone, the message delivered, and an outrage soon broke among the ranks of the defiled, a cacophony of blasphemy and cursing that announced the arrival of dusk and the beginning of a hell night.
just strong starts right there.
Right, that's what I should have done. I should have had the thing on and just boom. But that's dope. That's dope as fuck. I think that's
great opening.
Such a great opening. There's a page here that's just got a bunch of different Hell Knight prints. I'll talk about something when we get to the bottom. I think the page is coming up. There's a contents page which is immediately almost illegible, but it is, I will say, it is hyperlinked, and I am pretty positive it's full of bookmarks too. I know that the contents page is hyperlinked, which is fantastic, but there are no bookmarks.
Oh, maybe they're on the copy I'm looking at.
Oh, no, there's not any bookmarks.
Okay.
Interesting that of all the things that there are hyperlinks but not bookmarks. Huh. Well, that sucks. But all of these are hyperlinked, and I'm pretty positive the inlines aren't. So like if it references like page 22, those aren't. So minimal digital tools. I think even just the bookmarks would have been a thing, but okay. But this page is a mostly red on white. This is a contents page. Rules, character creation, duties. Auspices, hell rides, edges, relics, and rituals, the Roaring 80s, hell, the others, hell riding, and the Galleria. All listed out. Yeah, right, because it's not easy to read. Another piece here, which is fantastic. It is a motorcycle in front of a skull, where the almost like the pupils of the eyes almost look like the rear view mirrors on the motorcycle. And then here is the credits page, which is fantastic. And when we get to the bottom, I'll explain a little bit. There's a great shot on the left here that says Hell Knight, like in black splatter over a bunch of red and white death stuff. So writing and concept is Gavriel. Graphic design and art is Tomas, I'm going to say Spicoli, but I feel like there's probably a ch in there. Editing and proofreading, the wonderful Walton Wood. An additional layout, Nicholas Siska. So credits, we got guest writers Annie Lennon for This Asphalt Burns, Spills and Thrills, and part of the Vistas from the Hell Tables. Brian Shutter, who we know from Bikers / Punks Table. Christopher Carpenter for The Trail of Tears. Pierre Philippe Renaud for Roadkill Table. Diego Noguera of Old Skull helped inspire the adventure scenario. And in the Galleria, we got Federico. Man, I thought in my head, I feel like I'm good at names, but when it comes out of my mouth, it's not. Federico Mazart, Brendan Elliott, La Panzonia, Johan Noor is in there. Subhuman, Casey McCall, Hellish Maggot, Clown Prison, Laws, The Eye, Wizard. Yep, and Dianara. There's some playtesters as well. Special thanks to the supporters. And here's an interesting thing right at the bottom. It says some books are meant to be read, others experienced. This one is made with paper, glue, scissors, and a whole lot of love. It is dedicated to my Uncle Hugo Quiroga for teaching me to laugh in the face of evil and adversity. So one of the things that you'll see throughout the entire thing, and the book itself does describe itself as an art rule book. Most of this book was put together by hand. cut from paper, done with like hand done art, and then scanned in, and then digital editions were made on top of that. I love it. I think that's such a cool fucking idea.
Yeah, there's definitely tabletop books to own physically. And then there are those that don't matter whether or not you own them physically. And I feel like this is a book that you want physically. Like, this is a cool, like, art piece to have in your collection. Like, beyond just playing it. I mean, like, listen, I love playing tabletop games, but as you and I both know, especially if, Ryan, you turn around and look behind you, you're like, like, you don't always play every game.
Right.
But like, God, this is a great one to have because it feels like someone made it. That was like an art piece, like an active, like, art project that they did over a amount of time. Yeah, there's a lot of heart in it. You know, I do like this for that reason.
It's stunning too when you think about, like, even when you scroll back like a page or two to that page that just has all the different Hell Knights on it. Like, I can just imagine them like photocopying this and like pulling it off of the photocopier. Like, it's done in like a very like old school zine way and then scanned in. And then sometimes, like, my thought, and this is probably what it is like, outside of maybe some of like the text and stuff, if I feel like it was probably done in person, it was probably done in person, not digitally. And that was really cool to go the whole way through to be like, how the fuck did they get that effect, you know? I will say, though, although that is a massive strength of the project, I will say it is probably its biggest weakness in what we call usability now, because there are parts that are incredibly difficult to read just because of the colors that are behind some of the fonts. Some of the fonts themselves are clearly done by hand. So we definitely are taking this into account as like, this is an art book. Because this on Kickstarter, the PDF did come with a read-only version, which has its own cover and is like a typewriter all the way through.
Yeah, it's actually really, it's very nice to look at, the read-only.
The only thing I will say about the read-only is that it does have, tell me if I'm completely wrong, it has a parchment background, right? It's like a slate paper.
It's like a crumpled paper background. It's like
So read only, not necessarily super print friendly, because that's a lot of gray printing out on every single page. So I think one that's like just white and black would also be like super helpful.
Yeah. I wonder about that. I could definitely see that. I wonder, the thing is, like, there is a rule, like a table rules book for war plans, like a physical one. You have it. We were just talking about that earlier.
Yeah, the tangible reality book.
This isn't a table book. Like, it's not, I mean, it doesn't physically exist. And I definitely would want this for playing this at the table, like physically, like in hand.
Yes. Oh my god.
Which funny? It's actually funny. That the read only is bookmarked.
Oh well, that makes. Is it hyperlinked?
And the table of contents is hyperlinked as well, actually. So
that's really interesting. That, like, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Again, this is the one to experience. This is so, like, the one that is read only, the one that you could actually sit down and read, has all the digital tools that we want. I think you almost have to look at both together, because here's the thing. I love that I own this, but I would absolutely fucking love and would have backed the shit out of a version of the read-only that's like the bare bones version of Mark Borg with that exposed binding that lays flat. That's becoming more popular. Like Frontier Scum did it, the Merc Borg Bare Bones did it, the new Troika does it. I fucking love that. I think it's an insanely awesome binding for tabletop role-playing games. I would pay a lot to just have that at my table too, and just be able to have both, one for flavor and one to actually play with. So hey, just throwing that out there. Maybe we could get that one at some point. But anyway, 30 minutes in, we'll get to page 1. So we're going to start with the rules. This section of the rules is a lot of like a light purple on black. So rules with a pair of handcuffs. So here's the thing about No, we'll wait for that. So stats, you have 4 stats. You have guts, style, brains, and grit. You really have 3 stats plus grit. Guts is
your brain. It's your brain's divided.
It's a derived. Yeah, it's derived. Right. Yeah. So guts, muscle, brawn, badassness. There's a lot. Here's the thing. There's a shitload of tongue-in-cheek stuff in here that I think hits the exact right note all the way through, and that, let's say this. I mean, this has been out for a while, so it's not going to like blow up like Merkborg did. Right, in the sense that it spawned its own, like GM's Guild or DM's Guild of extra shovelware. It is the exact kind of tone that, not the same tone as Merkborg, but it hit the tone in such a right way that if you hit it in the right way, it's awesome, and when you miss it slightly, it's bad. That like a lot of people that made Merkborg content didn't hit.
Yeah.
So.
Does hit, is what you're saying.
I'm saying this hits hard, but anyway, right. I think a lot of people trying to make stuff for this are gonna miss that mark.
Right. That makes sense.
So, but regardless, we'll get some of the tongue-in-cheek. Guts, you have hit points equal to your guts. So there's stats and then derived stuff. So guts, muscle, brawn, and you have hit points equal to guts. Style, how damn awesome you look and move. This is also used for athletics, dodging, driving, or last impression. Brains, gray matter. Gray matter matters. Use this to think on your feet, remember important things, and cast infernal powers. And then you have grit, which is your inner fire. Grit is your mental resilience, conviction, and spirit. Your max grit is brains divided by 2 rounded down. So this is a thing that you will spend, and there are ways to get that back. On the very next page, it says spend grit to, and there's 2 skeletons, one being hanged and one is a Grim Reaper. It says you spend grit to make an effort, which is re-roll a single dice. If your failure turns into success, describe how your character overcame the obstacle. Love that. Or to do a stunt. Describe your action in the most extreme, over-the-top way possible, and then roll normally. A success counts as a crit, which you may describe with your GM's guidance. Attacks deal damage equal to guts, plus any damage modifier. So when you do a stunt, that's what the attack's equal to. So how to do something. This is a page that we're going to talk about. Okay. How to do something. First of all, this is one of the first pages I read where I was like, damn, this kind of hurts. There's an awesome like snake skeleton behind the entire thing in white on purple, but trying to read black over a mix of like lavender and white broke my eyes a little bit. This is one of the first pages I went.
Not the one where I started getting bothered. Actually,
no, there's way worse, but this is the first one where I was like, oh, this is going to be hard to read. So how to do something. Describe what you want to do, how you want to do it, and your intended outcome. The DM determines the corresponding stat, and you roll 2d6. Results equal to or below that stat are successes. You want the highest number without going over, just like in blackjack. So it's a 2d6 roll under system, and you roll under the appropriate stat. Easy fucking peasy, right?
Easy.
Okay, let's look at something else. And this is not to beat a dead horse from the past, but we will bring it up. I'm going to bring this up right now. So this...
I have no idea what's about to happen.
Yeah, this is from Warpland. Okay. So I just brought this up on the page. The entire first paragraph, right, is the same thing as these 3 lines. When we did our first review, this kind of broke our brain and really made it difficult to parse the rest of the rules.
Yeah.
We understand what it says, but my gosh, was it difficult to read. I'm going to read it out loud. So when a player wants his/her character to do something, he/she must first describe how he/she wants to do it and his/her intention. Then the game master will indicate the attribute corresponding to that action. The player must then roll 2d6, parentheses, 2 6-sided dice. If the result is equal to or less than the attribute number corresponding to that action, then the action is carried out successfully, and the game master narrates the outcome. If the result is greater than the attribute number, then the action fails, and there will likely be a consequence described by the game master. We understand what that says, but when reading that the first time, the technical language of that is so unnecessarily difficult to parse. And I know we beat the... You're muted.
I'm not muted. I'm talking to myself.
Gotcha.
This is definitely a vast improvement.
It's insane. Like, I think, and this is even what we said before, like, this could easily be done in 3 lines. And this was our biggest knock on Warplane, was a lot of the rules language was written like this. It was written way too technical jargon, in over explaining stuff, like really just was not, we did not enjoy reading the rules for this, to the point where at the end of the game I honestly didn't really understand how to play the game completely. And then we cut to the thing that I just read. It's so fucking good. Like, it's such a massive, insanely good improvement to the rules language. And I'll say the entire thing through here, there's very few parts that I had to reread to understand the rules. And the rules language is written in such an easy, parsable way. Night and day. And it's the exact same system as far as I can tell. Night and day. This is exponentially better. And reading this helped me vastly understand Neurocity and Warplane better. And this is so fucking good. So shout out Gavriel, like, good fucking job turning this into a much more understandable, readable version of this. Basically the same thing. Like, absolutely. So basically, as we said, 2d6 equal to or below the stat. Your character concept and background determine your specific skill set. Whenever you attempt to do something you're unskilled at, you get a -2. DM tip: aiming at an eye, disarming, special maneuvers, give a stat a -1 penalty. Crits results of 8 or higher. They're a highly effective action that must be described according to the DM. In combat, a critical success causes a roll on the critical hit table. So basically, again, you want to get as close as you can without going over your stat. But if you have a stat higher than 8 and then you get 8 or higher, that is a critical success. And then difficulty modifier. Some actions are more difficult than others, like doing making this freaking book is what's in parentheses. That was one of the first ones that cracked me up. The first time I read it, I thought it said like reading this freaking book, and I was like, yes, that's true. But basically, yeah, there are a whole page on difficulty modifiers. So represent these variable difficulties by directly affecting the stat you're testing. Easy is a +1, medium is 0, hard is a -1, and then very hard is a -2, and almost impossible is a -3. Complications are rolled on a 1-1 or a 6-6, and they cause a new problem in addition to your current situation. So a 1-1 succeeds barely with a complication, and a 6-6 fails with a complication. And if you're dodging, you take a critical hit. So the only way to like critically succeed something is to get 8 or higher on your check. There's not, and then
you don't have a stat that is higher than an 8. You're just like,
you can't crit.
You can't crit that. Okay, no. I very much. I do. I think I do like that. It's a much more brutal. I was like, yeah, not everyone's that spectacular. You know, I really did like the rolling doubles as like a complicated. Like baking in a partial success essentially. Yeah, I really did like that rule a lot. It's a smart way to do it with the system as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. This is such a like divorced system from other 2d6s, you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
it's definitely its own thing.
Yeah, it's not a mixed success. The way that a lot of the things are figured out, like it feels, and again, reading this, I felt so much more confident knowing how the system worked than previously in the same system. And there's so many little parts where I'm like, that kind of feels like a lot. And you go, actually, it's really easy. It's a lot of like +1, -1. And it's basically, it just becomes 2d6 roll under, which is super enjoyable as we go through. But like you said, the 1-1s and the 6-6s, like both being like, well, you're fucked. One, you're just fucked a lot more. Really cool. I really like that a lot. I also love this. It says, warning, if a player drops their dice from the table, it also causes the complication.
Such a great part. I read that and I was like, oh, that's amazing. Like, I might just adapt that into like other games. It's like, yeah, bro, you roll off the table. That's gonna be a complication.
Yeah. There are a lot of tables. Did you just want to bring up a dice roller now, because I'm gonna have you roll
let's bring up one now. I should have just. I know there's tables in this, and I should have started with one open. You all roll on the combat complications.
Yeah, combat complications. A D6 here.
2. Break your precious weapon or run out of ammo. Why are you so bad at this?
I love this. I love the trip and fall one says try harder, baby.
Try harder, baby.
Yeah. Number 6, mentally exhausted and frustrated, lose 1 grit. It's been a long night and I hate the fucking Eagles. It's great. So hit points are equal to your guts. Restore 1 hit point after resting for 2d6 hours. I will say I kind of wish this had its own little header. It's not a big deal, but you're kind of like in combat complications and suddenly you're just in your hit points.
It very much slides into hit points suddenly after combat complications. And I'm like, I guess I'm okay with it being here, like in this part of the book. Yeah, a little subheader or something. Because I started to scroll past it as I was going through this, and I was like, oh wait, hold my HP. Yeah.
Without the bolds at the bottom for the wounded and heavily wounded, like I would have scrolled past it.
Yeah.
So hit points are equal to your guts. Restore 1 hit point after resting for 2d6 hours. That's fucking brutal. That's very little healing.
Yeah, that's incredibly low, especially if you roll high on those 2d6.
I love it. I will say the system is brutal as fuck, and I love it so much.
I just rolled 12, by the way. I just want you guys to know I just rolled double 6s on my resting roll. So
that's a complication.
12 hours to get 1 HP back.
There you go. There's also some modifiers once you're damaged, which I love. Wounded is half your total HP or less. You have a -1 to all actions. That's brutal as fuck, like honestly. And then heavily wounded, you only have 1 HP left, -2 to all actions. So there's a very heavy, like, I hope I'm using the jargon correctly on this. It's a negative feedback loop where as things get bad, they just keep getting worse.
They just keep getting worse. And I feel like that's really cool. I've pointed out in a couple different games we've gone through that, like, when they add rules, they're like, oh, as you get injured, you get worse at things. And I'm like, yeah, that makes complete sense to me. Like, I think the last time we talked about was tunnel goons with the enemies that get easier to hit as they get close to death. I'm like, because they would, right? Like, also, yeah, let me tell you, if you're on death's door, or if you get the shit beat out of you, like, you're gonna be bad at avoiding getting more shit beat out of you for a time, you know?
Hunter's like, listen, when I was on death's door after getting the shit beat out of me, let me tell you what, like, that's how it is.
Listen, you take a couple shots to the face, and then you're gonna have a hard time climbing over the fence that you're trying to get through, or whatever, you know, like riding your hog over a casino terrace, or whatever it is, you know.
Yeah, I dig it. I like this. Like I said, this system is super fucking brutal. Like, you better hit hard before you get hit hard, you know. Going into combat is fast, dramatic, and deadly. Role played accordingly. Players should clearly, eloquently, and awesomely state their actions and intentions, and the GM describes consequences in appropriate detail. In combat, only players roll. Love that. The
DM has better things to do.
It literally says in parentheses. So an action is attacking, casting, sprinting, reloading. An action is not dodging, moving, shouting, giving the middle finger. Movement, a PC can move twice style in feet while performing an action, or they can forfeit their action to sprint twice at a normal movement. Honestly, in this kind of game, tying specific movement to style, I don't think getting rid of that changes anything. Style already has enough things associated with it, so it's not a stat that wouldn't be tied to anything derived. Because I would just switch this to like a Merkborgy, like roughly a room kind of shit, you know. I definitely wouldn't do gridded combat with my Hellride, you know what I mean? Like,
I completely agree. I did notice that as well. I mean, but it's hard when we go through these because I know I have such a bias. But like every time they talk about move distance and anything we go through, I'm like, oh, you mean I'm just gonna do
whatever I want.
Whatever I want.
Yeah. Like I just ignore it completely. Like I can only go 30 feet instead of 35.
I'm going across this room, you know.
Yeah, that's
not me, my players. But yeah, I agree. I think style is a good enough stat that stands alone. That it doesn't really need like a drive like that.
It has style actually is like one of the primary stats in the, I mean, they're all three important, but style is a huge part. It affects a lot of the other, like your entire DC, we'll get to in a little bit, is affected by style, but style is also what you use to dodge. So like not having it as a derived stat for movement it makes sense that it is that one because it is dodge.
Totally. if you were going to have movement as a derived stat, it makes 100% sense like how it is here, and it's not overly complicated. I just think it's unnecessary.
Yeah, I just would get rid of it. Yeah. But here's the thing, and I think we talked about this last time. I would rather, I don't remember when we talked about it, but I would rather, in Demon Crawl, I would rather have the rule and then be able to ignore it than for the rule not to have been like thought about and presented. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this makes perfect sense. I'm going to ignore it, but it makes perfect sense.
I believe and it's cool. You have the license to ignore it as somebody who's like, gonna run this game at your table. I think it's good in here, and I think if somebody wants to run the grid and needs that rule, and some people like that very tactile, not me, but some people.
Yeah. So like I said, I'd rather have it and then being able to ignore it than not have it and wonder what the intent of movement was. Initiative. Each player tests brains. If successful, they act before the enemies. Failure means the enemies go first. DM decides PC order based on dice rolls and context and whatever. Love that. It has a breakdown of the stats. So initiative, you roll brains. Attack, you roll guts. Dodge, you roll style. And then on dodge, you roll style or below. Remember, only PCs roll. So whenever your attack tests dodge to avoid damage, unless you're into that kind of thing, no judgment, you do you. Damage is included in attack and dodge tests, except stunts. Okay, so this is the part that it's easy to parse in here, but it takes a second for your brain to wrap around. Right. And then the NPC section is a little bit different too. So when a PC attacks successfully, the enemy takes damage equal to the highest rolled dice plus weapon mod. Page 20, not hyperlinked. Rolling 8 or higher triggers a crit. Page 22. So you're rolling 2d6 to hit. If you succeed, let's say you rolled, I'm not even going to say that because there is a great example of play we're just going to get to. And that's when a PC attacks. When a PC fails to dodge an enemy's attack, they take damage. This is the only part that feels, in my opinion, like a little bit crunchy, but I think you get used to pretty quick. So when a PC fails to dodge an enemy's attack, they take damage. Subtract the PC's style from their total dice roll, then add the weapon modifier, so the enemy's weapon modifier. A 6/6 on the dodge test triggers a critical hit. So you can be critted. If you roll a 6/6, that's really bad for you. You get critted by the enemy. So anytime you roll, you take the total dice. So say you roll a 5 and a 3, that's an 8, and your style's 4, you take 4 plus weapon mod. I think it's the only part that feels like it makes sense, but it feels, in my mind, I was going through it. I was like, it feels a little clunky because you have to know like 3-4 different things to like do some quick math, but the math is pretty small. And then I think about like playing 5e and I go, okay, I roll my dice, then I add my modifier, then I subtract AC. Oh, so I hit. So let me roll damage again, but then I also have to roll my spell damage. Then I have to do this. It's way less than that still.
And I'm trying to think ahead to the rest of the rules. And I think this may be the clunkiest, for lack of a better term, rule for the rest of it. But
it's not even...
It's really not bad. Like, I don't think it's bad.
No. I think
you have to go, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
But it's pretty because you don't really raise your stats at all. So I feel like it just becomes like after one or two combats, I feel like it becomes such a, like an innate thing in your head where every time you see like a 10, you just know it's a 6. You know what I mean? Like, so it wouldn't, I don't think this would be difficult at all. So in a very rules light system, this is the most rules heavy one. And it's like maybe 3 + 1s + 2s. You know what I mean? Like it's not hard.
It's super okay. I'm super fine with it.
Attacking with 2 weapons, just add +1 in damage and -1 to dodge, you savage bastard. And then this is NPC level. We actually missed this the first time we went through Warpland. Because I think one of the things we talked about was how the roles don't really feel like they scale. This is how they do scale. I will say I wish there was a nod to this a little bit higher in the original explanation of the roles, but this will explain what that means. So this is another modifier to the initial roll of your stat. So NPCs have levels that indicate the prowess and toughness. PCs receive a penalty to their stat equal to the NPC level whenever they test against an NPC, and that's for everything: social interactions, initiative. Yeah, it's great. So it goes from level 1 to level 4. So level 0 is pathetic mortal commoners, demonic rabble, roadkill, just nothings. Level 1, cops, gangsters, race, rock stars, bikers. Level 2, vampires, skinwalkers, demons, witches, saints. Level 3, archangels, archdemons, and paragons. Level 4, Primordials, the Dark Master, and Chuck Norris.
And Chuck Norris.
Yeah. So to let you know how big of a difference from 0 to 4 is, Primordials are literally basically like the elder eldritch gods that existed before they were put into the pit by the devils. So they're literally
Diablo.
like, yeah. The Dark Master is pretty much Satan, and then you have Chuck Norris, who, you know, is Chuck Norris.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's a big spread in just like what amounts to 3 total like modifiers, you know. But in a 2d6 system, as we've looked at the map before, a +3 or a -3 is a 75% change in what you can do.
A -4 for, or no, sorry, +4 for fighting primordials or dealing with primordials. Like that's like a
on a 2d6 system. Yeah, like that changes a 10 to a failure.
Right.
Yeah. Like that's huge. Yeah. So, and that's another reason I love 2d6 so much, is that small numbers have big effects versus like a bigger die.
I also think it's a good, like, you know, they say never stat gods, you know, but in this system specifically, this is a great way to have like, yeah, hey, listen, if you want to try to fight the primordial evils of this world, you're going to have to add 4 to every roll under that you have. And you're just like, oh, shit.
But that's just the initial stat, right?
Yeah.
So like that doesn't count like your -2 for difficulty modifier, so that you're already at like a -6. Like it becomes impossible to fight the gods. And I like that with the So, but I will say that like, so it says if an NPC needs to roll for morale, roll 2d6 against 5 plus NPC level. So NPC's level 3, their morale is 8. Right, so just roll, you know, do that. So another great page here, it says Hell Knight with some like little demon skulls and things. So so that's the other thing too, just to remind. So the NPC, that's your initial, basically that sets your DC for everything that you do, because it affects every roll you do, right? So if you're talking to anyone and let's say you're using style and they're level 1 and your style's 8, you automatically need to roll below a 7, and that's before any other modifiers. So it's
you can't crit that style roll.
Yeah. NPC levels are your initial DC for everything before any other modifiers. So that's why I kind of wish the NPC level part was higher. I get why it's in this section, but having it be kind of one of the last things after the initial, like, this is how you do a 2d6 roll, and then have like kind of like how the DC set is a little bit lower. I wouldn't have minded if the NPC level was a little higher, but it all makes sense.
Kind of okay with where it is, because it's like an almost like evolutionary understanding of the rules. Like you really get the basics down, and it's like, oh, well, here are modifiers for these instances. It's like, oh, well, here are these modifiers for this instance.
Yep.
I think I like that.
The only thing I would have wanted is maybe like in that initial thing, like the 4th line could have been, these rolls are modified by NPC level, see page X. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
And then you'd go, oh, okay, all right. So here's a play example. We don't really generally read a lot of these, but I actually think it makes a lot of sense. I'm probably not going to read the whole thing, but it's a good thing to read. So Xander made a wrong turn down the wrong alley, got cornered by 2 corrupt cops. So 2 cops, they leap from their cruiser, guns drawn, and scream, "Drop the weapon, you are under arrest, shitbird." Xander rolls initiative. His brains is 6, and the cop's level is 1, so he needs a 5 or lower. Automatically, boom. Okay, cop's level 1. Every roll you do, you automatically deduct 1 because that's your level. Love that. Makes it super easy. He rolls a 3 and a 2, which is a success, and his style is 7, so he can cover 28 feet. The DM indicates that he can get near the cops but can't attack them until the next round. This doesn't deter Xander, who sprints toward them swinging his battle axe. Both cops open fire with their Colt 9mm. Xander must dodge twice, 1 for each one. His style is 7, and the cops' level are 1, so he must roll 6 or lower. So every roll, the level comes into play. So he rolls a 5 and a 1, successfully ducking the first shot, but then he rolls a 5 and a 4, a total of 9. The difference against his dodge, which is a stat of 6, is 3, and the 9mm has a +1, so Xander receives 4 total damage. Right? So here, that's the part that I think doesn't make as much sense to me. That's the one I did want to talk to you about. So the difference against his dodge of 6 is 3, so it's 9 to dodge. But I thought, and maybe I'm completely wrong, that you roll against style, but maybe is the dodge roll, so an enemy's attack,
I gotta look again.
Yeah. So
dodge roll style or below?
Oh, so it is style because dodge is style. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's what it is. It's just using a derived version of the same stat name. Okay. All right. So then, so he gets hit for the first time. So that's what it is. The difference, which was 3, plus a modifier 4, you take 4 damage. That hurts. Puts him down. Xander removes 4 of his hit points. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Xander rolls 2-4 for initiative. He gets the upper hand and a chance to return the pain. So it sounds like they do initiative on like every round. Which, you know, I wouldn't, but it's fine. But here's the thing. I would say that I wouldn't do that, but I will say when we did Death in Space and you got to choose initiatives, the varying order did make a lot of difference. Yeah. So it's one of those things.
Which game did we go over that was like you could pick the person who goes
Death in Space? That was the greatest initiative system ever. I love it so much.
That is so the best idea I've ever heard. I was like, oh, that's great.
It made such... so many things about it were so good, and that it kept everyone focused in all the time because you didn't know if you had to go next or not. Like, it made people like talk more about like tactics and stuff. I loved it. It was fantastic. So Xander rolls 2-4 for initiative. He gets upper hand, blah, 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 chance to return the pain. He hoists his battle axe and swings on a cop. To hit, he must roll 8 or below. Guts of 9 minus level 1. He rolls a 5-3 and gets a critical success because he got an 8, and he rolled 8 or below, which is what you needed to hit. His highest roll dice is a 5, plus his battle axe is a +3, so he dishes out 8, plus a crit on the critical hit table for slashing damage, because there's 3 different crit tables for the type of damage. That's it. That's the whole system. It doesn't feel clunky. It doesn't feel bad at all. The math really plays out really, really well. I really enjoy it. I think it's a brutal, fun, interesting, great little system. It's really, really interesting. And again, we're basically through the rules. Reading this, and not trying to be the dead horse, this is just written in such a more easy to understand way than in the previous systems. I would use this as a reference for any of the other games, to understand it better. And it's so good. Like, it's really enjoyable. The DM describes the carnage in gory detail. It's seriously brutal. If you were there, you'd probably puke. That's what the other cop did. Love that.
That was so funny. I was like, I muted myself when I was laughing because I was coughing. But the 2 corrupt cops. So cops. I'm
gonna bring it up a second time.
Just
That's another
foul mouth leftists. You know, more F-bombs than content.
It's another 1-star on Apple Podcasts for us. Combat distances, right? Combat distances and modifiers. There is range modifiers, which like it totally makes sense that these are there. So there's melee, nearby, far, very far, and beyond. I just think by the time you get to like very far, beyond becomes like beyond 150 feet. I don't know what you're doing beyond that, but basically -1 to range when you're in melee. I like that. I really like that. Like it's such a subtle, like there's not really any. There's no rolling for advantage and disadvantage in this at all. There really isn't any advantage or disadvantage. It's just like things are either easy or hard, and sometimes you'll get a bonus of like a +1 or -1 based on story, and like that's it. And I really enjoy that.
I do too. Not every system needs advantage and disadvantage. I think like mechanically building them pluses and minuses, especially something like that's 2d6 where it's like really 2 or 1 can really shift the outcome of a thing. I think it's very effective.
Yeah, it's interesting. I did run through the dice curves on 2d6 before for advantage and disadvantage, and on your first, second, on your 3d6, it's basically a +2 or a -2. So having a +1 and a -1 or +2 and a -2 is basically just a way to quantify that into a more specific way.
And without having to have somebody roll another die, which just adds more time at the table. And it's like, I mean, I know you and I know this, but maybe if you're not like, adding more dice to a roll will effectively stack up time a lot more than you think it does. So to have it just baked in where it's just like, nope, -1, -2, +1, +2. Great. Very clean.
Yeah. I like it a lot. Character advancement. If you need levels, please visit your nearest arcade. People don't improve, not even in hell. Get bigger guns, nastier weapons, make a name for yourself, and most importantly, survive. That's how advancement, and then it gets chopped off and says, "Clumsy fool, look what you did. Now this page looks like crap." And then there's the skull thing on here. There isn't. So I love that. First of all, I love that. Like, your character is your character, and that's what you get. There's no advancement.
Right.
I love that. But there is optional advancement off to the side. It says optional. This is what happens when you ask for your opinions. So sideways on the page, when the chapter ends, test brains. If successful, roll a d6. Why don't you roll a d6 for me, buddy?
I would love to roll a d6. I got 3.
You have learned a new power.
Nice.
Great. I love this advancement. So I'm going to read them all because they're great. 1, a pat on the head. Well done. Now go bring me a beer. That's perfect. That's what you get. Yep.
Thanks,
2,
Dad.
you got tougher. Add +1 to HP. Number 3, you've learned a new power. Number 4, you have freed your untamed soul. Gain a new edge. Number 5, you grew more determined. +1 grit. Number 6, explain what happened to you. Gain +1 to a stat determined by the Dark Master. So the Dark Master is missing from the game. Dude, you know what I think I meant to do at the beginning and then we totally forgot is like explain what the fuck the game actually is. So quick nod on page 18. Basically, like Satan disappeared, and then all of the leaders, a bunch of the leaders of the circles of hell decided, fuck it, we're just going to Earth. And then an angel came down and said, you guys better go get those guys or we're coming down here to fuck you up. And that's what the characters are, is like, you are the guys that are going to go bring back the rulers of hell while Satan is out of where he is supposed to be. That's the game. So, intimidate with guts, seduce with style, deceive with brains. These are your social tests. Go. There's a page here for weapons and just the modifiers. There's small weapons, deal +1, medium weapons, deal +2, big weapons, deal +3. But you have to have a minimum guts of 8 in order to use big weapons. Makes sense. Small weapons are like knives and stuff. Medium weapons are like swords and shotguns. Big weapons are like assault rifles and sledgehammers. And there's huge things and explosives that are +4, like grenades, trucks, a slap from the Dark Master. And then weapons with reach give you a +1 to initiative tests, and shotguns gets +1 to attack nearby, and automatic firearms get a +1 if you empty your entire magazine. There's armor. I
do really like the automatic firearm. Like, maybe not even so much for the mechanic benefit, but like the whole like going all out and emptying your clip, you know.
Yeah. I will say, and this is such a stupid little thing, I will say I do like this as empty your magazine, because too many people that don't know how guns work say clip instead of magazine when it's
I just say clip, magazine. Whatever, man. I know. Nothing matters. We're all gonna die.
What's funny is I literally in my head was gonna go, I love that they use magazine, and then you're like, oh, I like when they empty the clip, and I was like, oh, now I have to say that.
Whatever.
Each point of armor absorbs damage from it's soak. Light armor is 1, hide, furs, medium armor 2, Kevlar, chainmail. And then heavy armor is 3, plate armor, demon, tarantula, carapace. But there's a minimum amount of guts you have to wear different armors, which I really enjoy. So minimum guts for light is 6, minimum guts for medium is 7, and minimum guts for heavy is 8. There's a cool weapons page here, very reminiscent of like the Merkborg page. I really love that. There's some really cool weapons on here. Critical hit tables. So roll here whenever you roll 8+ to attack or 6/6 to dodge. So just roll me 3d6 and we'll do 1 blunt, 1 slashing, and 1 piercing or something like
that. Okay. First one's 3.
Okay.
We're on the blunt, right? Broken rib cage. Spend d6 days coughing up blood and reflecting on their bad choices.
Nice.
Next one for slashing is going to be 4. Arm amputated at the elbow. The stomp sprays like a fire hose, and the splatter resembles a random character.
Look at you. And on bleeding, damage is 1 damage each round until the wounds are tended. So there's modifiers to... and then blunt was the victim falls, and they get a d6. So on blunt, they fell down and did what you did, which is broke the rib cage. On slashing, they get... 1 damage each round plus the arm amputation, and then the last one is piercing, which ignores armor and
1 pierced thigh, splintered bone, hurts like fuck.
Good times. I love the number 6 on this one. Weapon enters the mouth.
About to say,
yeah, and exits the nape, splattering everyone behind the victim. Who's next? Bullet. Oh, there's another one for bullet. Roll me a d6 for bullet.
Yeah, so bullet, this dude is fucked. 5, hand blown off, nowhere to be found, hopefully in a better place.
I love that. That's the modifier for bullet. This dude is fucked. Like, plus, they lost a hand. So that's dope. Here's another little lore page, and I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and its rider's name was Death, and hell followed him, and they were given authority over a fourth of the earth to kill with sword and with famine and with pestilence and by wild beasts of the earth. Revelation 6:8. Great page in the background. I love this like bomber going down in smoke. And then we get to character creation, which is we move from a kind of like a light lavender and white to more of a black and red. So character creation, what we got?
I'm sorry, I remember Revelation 6:8 differently, and I know I remember it differently because in the version that I've read, it says that Hades followed him. Not hell, Hades, like the actual god Hades.
And hell followed. Oh, interesting. Which version did you read?
Well, I thought it was the King James, but maybe I'm wrong.
King James cracks me up. For those who don't know, read the history of King James and why he decided to write his own Bible.
Oh, it's the English Standard. That's the one I have.
Oh yeah, because this one's King James and it says hell. The NIV says Hades, the New International Version.
Well, shout out to everyone. Just so you know, the Hunters read the ESV version of the Bible.
Boom, there we go.
Character creation. So the best part of any character creation, first off, great art piece. If you're listening, it's like this face that has no lips on its weird mouth, and it's kind of blown out, and it's very, very creepy. And I think that's a nose, but it could just be a whole. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm scared of it. So character creation has 6 easy steps. The first is going to be name your character. The second is you set style, guts, and brains to 5, and then you distribute 6 more points among them. Fantastically easy. 3, select a duty, roll on the tables, fill in your gear. 4, choose an edge and a ritual if you deserve them. 5, sum up your attitude with a motto and describe your style, capital S style. 6, ride beyond and behold. Beautiful. Now, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to switch over to the read version of this, read-only version.
Yeah, because it gets hard. I do like that, or I think it's interesting that you don't roll stats at all. You just set all of them to 5 and then add another 6 points. So you could get 2 to 8 if you want, 8, 8, 5. Like you could, like, it would be difficult. It's impossible to get 3 stats up to 8.
Yeah, it is. It's also nice because it doesn't go below 5, which is like that's a nice like bottom point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So duties, which should be on the next page. Every demon in hell has a duty, and he'd better take care of it. Otherwise, he may be dismissed as rabble, a term reserved for the infernal hierarchy's lowest scum.
I do really like this. I'm gonna this is one of the ones where I'll like kick over to spreads for a second. We might even look at spreads through this like whole section, because a lot of the pages make sense together in the character creation part, and I really like that. So
yeah,
kick that back out. That's a great piece. The only thing I will say about duties is I kind of like you're called slayers, right?
Right.
And these are your duties, I guess. So I feel like I love this spread. I think this creature is cool as fuck. But I also feel like this could just be called Slayers, and then it's just about the characters. Like I don't know why, for some reason in my head I went like, why are these called duties? this could just be like your duty, and then you are a slayer. I don't know. I think it's just like a me and my brain thing.
Well, so I think duties is the class, like is the classes, right? Essentially, and slayers is one of the classes.
No, well,
yeah, because you have slayers, you have reapers, and
you're 100% right. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. Yep. That's me. Yeah, that was my stupid brain.
That's okay. My smart brain's on top of it. Yeah. So those are dudes. Yeah, the art piece is really cool. It's like a big amorphous black thing with two different sets of eyes. For those of you listening along at home. But yeah, slayers.
Who?
Great spread, by the way.
Great spread.
Amazing.
I will say it does really get hard to fucking read in this section.
Oh, this is exactly when I was like, it does. Yeah, it's very difficult to read. I have the read only version up right now. So, slayers, fierce champions who made war against the heavens and known guardians of powerful relics. These veteran demons' appearances are far from inconspicuous. They adhere to a savage code that promotes bloodshed and courage in battle. They own hell rides. Will you roll me a d6 for your hell form?
Abso-fucking-lutely. 6.
6. You communicate only in hellspeak, that loathsome infernal dialect consisting of dead tongues and harsh language. Roll another d6.
Oh, shit. 1.
Disfigured, either severely burned, hideously stitched, or ridden with gruesome scars. You can still pass as immortal, except you only speak in an infernal language that is horrible to hear.
That's fun. Great. At the table.
And what do you roll a d6 for your infernal power?
3.
3. Your hell form is hidden as long as you remain non-aggressive. So basically, you can speak okay until you get angry, and then when you get pissed, you just start cursing in hell speech. You know,
good times. I mean,
great times.
Gotta love that. I love number 7 on the powers.
Number 7 on the power. Probably 7. Wait, 7. How the fuck did you roll a 7? Okay, you got Batwing. It definitely has some small like good moments of like the humor it's definitely going for. Like it does actually definitely hit. You want to roll for armor? Roll a d6 for your
another 3.
Another 3 Kevlar, just like Batman's, but this was made in the hell, so it looks way cooler. Armor 2.
So I really like the necro armor fashioned from the crushed windpipes of the tormented. Yeah, it's a biomech suit, and where it can spend grit to test guts and recover HP equal to highest roll dice. Like, so many of these are so cool.
The necro armor reminds me of Spawn.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
there's definitely a lot of references to other shit through this entire thing. There's like a ton of
Do you want to roll 2? Well, go ahead and roll just 2 more d6s for me.
Sure. I got a 1 and a 6.
A 1. Your weapon is a Zweihander. Swing this like a madman and wait for the mortal city guards to arrive. You can take them all. Plus 2 damage, slashing, and plus 1 initiative. And then the background, what'd you roll?
I rolled a 1 and a 6.
For your background, a little brother of a powerful archon. Whether he hates or tolerates you depends on a single style test that you must make right now. Pretty good one.
Style. I rolled a 9. So
that sounds bad.
Yeah, if my style wasn't at least 9, then I. No. Yeah, because it's roll under. Yeah, I would have been.
It is in fact roll under. So
yeah, so he would have fucking hated me.
Last little part of the Slayers is the road of the warrior. All Slayers follow a warmongering code that encourages violence and Resolutionist, am I really? In the face, resoluteness, I'm a dumb idiot. In the face of danger, its main precept is respect power, but crush those who oppose you. What do they know? Besides being fearsome warriors skilled with medieval weaponry, Slayers are experts on the Infernal Domain's history, complex hierarchies, and powerful relics. So that's your Slayer. Past that, there's a few more classes, and they're all laid out more or less the same. It's mostly roll tables, which I love. You know, you have Reapers, which are going to be more of your witches and warlocks in Hell's hierarchy.
Mm-hmm. Which one's your favorite?
I don't know. I guess we
can do the little. I guess we can do a little intro to each one and then kind of figure out a favorite. I love Reapers. Big fan of Reapers.
Usurpers. I also just like the way the Usurpers pages looked. Very demonic. Yeah, I'll just do the opening for all of them. Let's read Reapers.
Well, I love how the that's why I kind of wanted to kick to spreads. I'm gonna kick back to spreads real quick. The page display, like the or like the how each one has its own art style for each one. I love.
Great.
The Slayers is very like almost like red splattered and stuff like that. I dig that. The Reapers is the black and white, you know. What was after that?
Reapers. So you may read the blurb for Reapers?
Oh, I thought you just did. Oh, we'll go for it.
I summarized it. Noble witches and warlocks. Huh? What? Hey.
Yeah.
Notable witches and warlocks are at a place in Hell's hierarchy after their mortal expiration. These Death Lords are soul hunters responsible for taking unrepentant sinners to their eternal damnation. Reapers wield impressive infernal powers and are somewhat creepy to have around. They own Hell rides. You know, just your creepy powers users. That went to hell like the rest of us. After that, we have Usurpers. Look at this spread. The spread's
such
so
a good spread. That little guy.
It's very brutal, you know.
Mm.
In the Down Under, Hell, you dimwit, not Australia. Minor demons are usually bullied, bossed around, and given the worst jobs, but even the most worthless rabble sometimes rises above expectation. Such is the case of Usurpers, demon with a talent for possessing the bodies of mortals who delve too deeply into the occult and unwillingly become vessels for demonic forces. Usurpers possess their vessels through a combination of meditative techniques and facilitators, water, smoke, mirrors. Usurpers seldom leave Hell and belong to a guild that regulates their practices. So this is I don't know why, but the possessed one's my favorite one. I'm just like, that's super demonic, so you know.
We have to roll a d12 on a vessel though. We got to roll at least one.
Absolutely. Would you like to roll for a vessel?
Yeah, I got a 9.
A 9, deranged hermit, drives a battered pickup, owns tobacco in a pipe, a chainsaw plus 3 damage slashing, and a weird book called War Plan.
There we go. Two things about this list that I really enjoy. One, like half of these give you a set amount of grams of substance that you just have with you, which is fucking great. Like the fashion pimp owns 10 grams and a 9mm. Doesn't tell you what grams is, but or what it is in grams, but I love that.
Did you see 13?
Oh yeah, like Damien or whatever.
Damien,
the whole, yeah.
About 9 years old, meeting his gaze is like staring into a bottomless pit. His loyal Doberman, Kane, treat as a hellhound, is always at his side. Owns a strange-looking yo-yo.
Yeah, 13 on a D12. I love those throughout here. Like the flavor bits where it's like it's rules text, but it's not because you can't actually roll it. But it's great. But like so many of the references in this are fucking great. Like the angry hobo who owns a shotgun, literally like hobo with a shotgun, like the movie. Like I love like the priest with the Toyota. Like I don't know. There's so many cool fucking references throughout the entire thing that middle-aged.
What's the priest with the Toyota reference to?
I assumed it was The Exorcist.
Oh, I mean, you're probably. Oh, that would make sense, huh? Yeah. Okay. Cool. I didn't pick it up right away.
I loved the middle-aged goth that looks like Robert Smith at his prime. Not late Rob. The prime one. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I'm still reading the list. It's a really very good list.
It's so good.
And then Revenant, So You Died. And a dude with a cloak took you on a tour of El Inferno. He showed you around, pointed out the torments awaiting you, and then asked if, instead of spending eternity there, you would rather help them with a little problem. Your answer was swift but dignified considering the circumstances. Get me the fuck out. Revenants get a resurrection card from the infernal power. The drawback, each time they revive, they leave some of their humanity behind. Luckily, they get a hell ride, and an infernal guardian watches over them and makes sure they behave like good boys.
I will say I love the Damien page, but it does throw off the character spreads. Instead of being like 2 full pages, now it becomes like halfy, you know?
I just realized that usurpers don't get hell rides.
No, they get the vehicles that come with the vessel.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Like the pimp gets their pimp wagon, and the priest have that Toyota and stuff. The one is literally like a kid on a bike.
On demonic bikes, and you're in a Toyota.
Dude, if you roll 12, you're literally a pop teen that drives a bicycle and has pepper spray and a fucking Madonna mixtape. Like,
oh my god,
that cracks me the fuck up. That's the one that gets me the most. Just like all of these like badass biker dudes, and like the one in the front is just like on a fucking BMX with no brakes, just like sitting on the pegs or something. Like,
with no brakes. Oh, I knew. I've known so many kids like that. Okay, wait. I think there's one more character class. I think Fallen is Fallen the last one.
I think so.
Yeah, Fallen is the last one.
Yeah, here we go. The first Fallen page is pretty fucking dope too. Like, I love how it's like kind of stretched up and then has like the feather kind of falling down and stuff.
Oh yeah. Very cool. Is this a test, Lord? Lord, why does he never answer me? I have been left abandoned in this cradle of filth. I do not belong here. Sorry, please forgive me, Lord. I will accept this ordeal. Lord, where are you? Please, just a sign that I'm on the right path. Please. Your wings were clipped, and you fell hard unto the world of man. How long ago? You barely remember. And hope is growing dimmer. Perhaps if you prove yourself worthy, perhaps if you manage to save the world, he might allow you to return. Or perhaps you should start thinking for yourself for once. After all, you were cast aside like a pariah, rejected for your reluctance to submit. Yes, maybe it is time you reclaim what is rightfully yours. You're a fallen angel.
So good. Just so good. All of these are so good.
Really good flavor in that one too.
Yeah.
You know, really fun in all these actually. Like reading the little blurbs at the beginning is like a very fun part of the character section, you know?
Yeah. We're cutting out like half of like the coolest bits of stuff, but like the flaws for the angel.
It is a really cool section, you know?
Yeah. Dude, number 3 was like one of my favorites. Insufferable, pedantic nihilist. I'm like, you didn't have to put me in the game, you douchebag.
The whole really targeted.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just so much good stuff. Like,
yeah, I feel like this is one of those games that would be really easy to play a character in because the role tables for making a character are so good and defined. That you roll up a character and you're like, oh, I know exactly who this character is. Like, obviously there's always ownership where you can like make the character your own, but like this just lays out things so clearly. Like, yeah. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, totally. I will play a fallen angel that's like innocent and like gullible as a child, you know? Yeah, really good stuff.
The thing too is like even the parts that are less flavor and more mechanic, like the armor and stuff like that, flavors your character so much. Like the difference between necro armor and Kevlar, you're like, oh, like those are 2 completely different things. One, I look like the Cult of Abraxas, and one, I look like I belong in like a biker bar. You know what I mean? So good all the way through.
So we're on. Go ahead.
No, yeah, that's where we're at. Oh, auspices.
Auspices. Auspices are supernatural manifestations of archons providing guidance and tutelage. An auspice can also crazy good art right here. Just real quick. I don't know the read only version, so I almost forget. I'm like, this is the power plant. Right? Yeah. Like the smokestacks. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. An auspice can provide hints and directions, heal gravely wounded demons, return 1 grit to each PC, reveal an infernal relic's whereabouts, reprimand the party for their inefficiency or inaction. That's right, you fucking idiots who did the terrible job. Next, we have the next page is the phone, which, like, I imagine, like, this is just the phone you use to talk to
these. Yeah, they oh, you mean to the so the auspices are how you I love there's a reference later at one point where it says, like, I think it's to like the 80s page where it says like cell phones were as big as bricks or suitcases and shit or whatever, and that just cracked me up every time. Why don't you? I think
that's a good page too. We'll get there. We're talking about it. It's a good page.
But here the auspices are great. Like, roll a. Do you want to do a D12? You want me to do a D12?
Yeah, I would love to do a D12. I haven't rolled them forever. I rolled a 2. A Coca-Cola ad speaks to the PCs.
So many of these are good. Like, I love, like, number 12, a medieval fantasy arcade game animates in the most curious way, and its main character addresses the players. So, like, you're just, like, rocking at a fucking arcade, and suddenly things are like, hey, stop fucking around. And it's like the little, like, sprites on this fucking screen. It just cracks me up so much. Like, these are so good.
I think the best part about that is the implication that there's a group of Hell Rider demons at an arcade just jamming out when they're supposed to be working, you know?
Of course they do. Of course they are. Yeah. Dude, the next page is dope as fuck, too, even though I don't know who Cobb the Anvil is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what is? I mean,
this is also
you're in spreads right now. Yeah. The motorcycle like page, crazy.
That's such a sick. Like, it's just a motorcycle head on with like almost like a Grim Reaper dude riding like the rocked up fucking handlebars up to their fucking head with like blood spewing out the front, like a skull and shit. This is such a sick.
They're in like a robe and the robe's like flying behind him, you know.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Oh, who is Core the Anvil? Is that one of the...
Core the Anvil watched as the sanitarium burned like a great pyre, and as he uttered the name of Geolis, patron of the mad, the ascending smoke assumed a diabolic silhouette. It whispered to him words of encouragement, overtaking his mind and senses. The night was young and still ripe with opportunity, and then he became Ghost Rider.
Boom, boom. So good.
Nicolas Cage.
Hoorah!
I'm gonna get caged.
I'm gonna do do you want to roll up the Hell Rides? Or do you want to read the Hell Rides? All right, I'm gonna read these so you can roll them up for me. All right, so Hell Rides. This one, damn, is just about impossible to read over here on this spread.
It is pretty brutal.
It is just brutally bad at doing this. So Hell Rides are demonic entities in permanent vehicular forms that any creature, they can be injured and be careful, careful. Inspected will reveal biomechanical internal organs. They're partially adept at finding portals in limbo that traverse realities. Skull blazers. Does not like angels. I do not like them either, it says on the page. The motorcycle looked like a gargoyle with a jackal head, and it growled menacingly at the fallen. Her master Xandar stroked her gas tank and fed a pulsing chunk of flesh into her chromed maw. A Hell Ride has 3 armor and HP equal to its master's highest stat. Charge against a pedestrian. +3 damage, blunt.
I like it. I do love it. Like, a specific tell you, like, just so you know, this is blunt damage. If you roll over them with your demonic bike.
+3 damage to pedestrians. Roll a d12 for the power on a Hell Ride. For your power on your Hell Ride. All right, what do we get?
A mobile medical unit and an exemplar surgeon. Anyone can spend grit and test brains to heal damage equal to the highest rolled dice.
I So many of these are so good. Like a savage smoking tricycle that travels on any surface. The one breathes fire with a built-in oven. The one just explodes on command, killing everything within like a
so fucking stupid.
I love
it and its rider can become invisible. Great. 12. Spend 1 grit to transform it into a biomechanical golem. 10 guts. 10 guts. Style 5, brains 5 for the rest of the scene. You have a big fucking 10 guts, bro. That's pretty high. And a 2d6 roll under.
Yeah, but your style and brains are 5.
Yeah.
But it's your golem. It's your golem. And it says, warning, all hell rides are carnivores. All right, roll me a d12 for your personality trait for your hell ride.
4. Whines every time she is left alone. Me too. Purrs when caressed.
Me too. Yeah. I love what was it? Number 3 is great. Like fiery red eye screams motherfucker whenever she gets excited. So many of these are just so good. Competitive, like roars like a monster behemoth. Like these are great. And then a D20 for name. Hit me with that name. Also, fuck, I love this page.
I just accidentally clicked out of my dice roller. 9. Little behemoth.
That's your the little behemoth is the one that likes to get sad when you're away. I'm gonna roll a d20 on this too because I really want to name for Hell Ride. I got a 15. Howling Bull.
Nice.
The tables in this are there's so many tables, but they're so good.
They are. It's really good though. Also, you know, for being like, how many pages did we say this was?
145.
It's spread so nicely. You know? I mean, it's just like it's 100. It's way longer than other games we go through, and I mean, we're reading a lot of it right now, and we're talking about it pretty actively, and we're like very much cruising through it. And there's a lot of good art left too. I will say that, like, for a game that's longer than, you know, I'm a very big zine guy, but man, I don't mind the size of this game at all.
Here's the thing: is if you took out the roll tables after like character creation, the game's only what, like we're I mean, that's Hell Rides. We're at 60 pages. So like, you know, I mean, edges, relics, and rituals are still like technically, I guess, part of like creating the character or whatever. But like, or it's like you said, like, it's a ton of tables and stuff like that. Like, the read-only version is pretty sparsely laid out too. There's a whole half pages.
So the read-only is 114 pages.
It's 100 before the gallery. So it's like 99. So it's only for rules. Yeah.
And absolutely, there's a lot of space, and not like in like a wasteful way, but it's very easy to read. It's very easy on the eyes. There's just like. Yeah, there's not too much in here is my thing. This is a positive thing. I'm like, oh, this is good. Like, sometimes we look at a game, I'm like, it's 107 pages. I'm like, but this, I'm like, this is easy. It's nice. It's very, like, you know, also good tables. I love roll tables.
Yes. But again, if it was even with everything in the read only, if it was condensed to like 2-column single spacing, we're looking at like 45, 50 pages tops.
Oh, absolutely. Totally. Tops. Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of, you know, it kind of reminds me in maybe more layout in content sense to like Vaults of Vaughn.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Where it's like pretty thick book, but like frankly, most of it's like it's tables and like lore with like a little bit of rules. And it's spread very nicely where it's easy to read.
Yeah. Well, if we look at just the rules of the book, even I don't know how much it is in the read only, but in this it was what, like maybe like 10, 12 pages with like a fraction of each page covered because most of it was art. So like, it's not. We're saying in a good way that like it's long but not dense, I think. Yeah,
and by the way, also when I say easy to read, I don't mean visually. I mean that as somebody with like ADHD, it's given to you in like very bite-sized bits that are like broken up, and I do enjoy going through this game. I am enjoying going through this game. So
yeah, it's good. I really enjoy it a lot. Yeah,
it's good. So tell me about edging.
Oh, okay. So edging is when you get real close. So edges, choose one, then test style. If you succeed, choose another. I love that. Like, you just Like, you get one if you get one, and you get them until you stop getting them. Like, so much of this system is like, you get what you get, now go do shit. You know what I mean? And I really enjoy that. So, there's a lot of edges. Like, if I click back to the 2-page display, I've also figured out how to do that without like going in and out of the fucking full page mode, which is great. It is literally like, what, 6 pages of edges?
Yeah.
The one kind of isn't that, like, I love the free will one where it's literally just like this like existential crisis, like when you get to, you're just reading it, like but some great edges on here. Dark Master's pet, whenever you tend to your DM's comfort, you may be entitled to 1 grit, provided they like rewarding their favorite pet. So, like, bring Mountain Dew, get +1 grit. You know what I mean? Blood fetish. You hear it inside. It's begging to come out. Whenever you're unintentionally spattered with blood, gain 1 grit. So a lot of this is like getting grit back, or these are all basically just like little tiny bonuses that you get throughout play. And again, like, as far as the edge goes, you pick one to start your character, you test. If you succeed, you can test again and again. So theoretically, if you test like 3 or 4 in a row, you get a bunch, or you could fail on your first one and get fucked, or in advancement you could roll to get like another edge or whatever.
I know that it's funny because I don't have the same. I obviously moved across the country, so I don't have an RPG table right now. I'm putting together a new one, but like I'm bummed I didn't get to play this with my old table because they loved rolling for characters when shit was unfair. So like shit like this, like to roll a character and be like, yeah, I got like fucking 4 or 5 of these or whatever, and then your next character is like, yeah, I got 1.
Yeah, they're so good. Jester, make them laugh and they won't murder you, said Arno the Imp, a famous buffoon who played a joke on the Dark Master and then got cooked alive. Whenever your character makes a DM laugh, gain 1 grit. I also love the touches of in-game and out-of-game stuff in here, like the dice falling off the table,
breaking the 4th wall interaction. And it's funny because like a lot of it's with the DM. And I appreciate that because this is definitely written by someone who's like, I'm the forever game runner and I want it to be more fun for me, and I'm like, me too.
I also love that the Dark Master, who is basically Satan, right, the devil, is missing, and that's why the Archons have had the luxury of being able to decide that they're gonna fucking bounce, right? But the DM of the game is the Dark Master, so there's like a you know, so anyway, so that's right. That is edges. Okay. Then you get to relics. So relics are forged during the war against the Celestial, where the demons and fallen angels who served the Dark Master were pushed down to the depths of hell. These ancient instruments of power are now scattered across the realm of man. It is a great honor to possess and guard one. So really good ones in here. Some of them are like, you can notice like the Horn of Abraxas. God, Mandy is such a good movie. The crooked horn of a strange creature summons all cultists in the vicinity to speak with its user. You've seen Mandy, right? I
was really very intoxicated, but technically I've seen most of it.
You just watch it again. Spear of
That's
Longinus.
The Nicolas Cage one that where his significant other gets kidnapped by a cult, and it's incredibly trippy.
Trippy as fuck. And the Abraxas, dude, it's so fucking good. It's such an insanely good movie. I feel like that's the movie that like reinvigorated Nick Cage, you know?
Probably.
Yeah. And I've loved everything that he's done since then. Almost all of it. That's good.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Spear of Longinus, Shroud of Abaddon, the Disemboweler. The Teeth Gun is great. This biomechanical artifact shoots infectious human molars. After 6 shots, you have to reload it with fresh teeth. Mortals slain with this weapon become mindless, flesh-eating zombies, +3 damage as bullets. The Spear of Longinus is a good one. I cannot think of the Spear of Longinus without thinking of Evangelion, not the Bible. So
that's where it's wielding. So right? I don't know what the Bible is, but
when wielding this ancient Roman spear, all your successes against heavenly foes become crits. Love that.
Yeah, you hear that, Christ? You got critted by that Roman.
Yeah. Piercing damage. Rituals. If a PC can pass a brains test, they can choose one ritual. So again, I love these. I think everyone gets I'm pretty sure that everyone gets a relic. I think it even says in the beginning that like Hell Riders or part of your duties, you get a relic. So you get a relic, but then you get as many edges as you pass a test for. And then for rituals, you get a brain. If you pass a brains test, you get one. And again, this is another in-game, out-of-game thing that I'm obsessed with. So, if a PC can pass a brains test, they can choose one ritual. The DM can recite a ritual to the player, or the player can read it themselves, but only once. The player's challenge is to remember the words and speak them clearly when performing the ritual. If they fail, you roll on the table of calamities. Rituals also require a full scene and one grit. So you pick one, and then each one comes with basically the ritual words. I say them to you one time, and in order for you to cast it, you have to say those exact words back to me when you want to cast it later without having written it down, or you fail and have to roll on a table in game. So, flesh weapon. An assortment of bone, flesh, and...
I was going to pick two. I was like, flesh weapons.
Yeah. An assortment of bone, flesh, and cartilage transforms into a gruesome fantasy weapon that deals +3 damage, slashing or piercing. And then this is what I would say to you, and you would have to remember. Right. Flesh, marrow, bone, sinew, blood, and spirit, bond thy nature into a weapon worthy of my purpose. And if you can't say that back to me later, or you fuck up even one word, you roll on a table of calamities and fuck you, it failed. I love that.
Yeah, that is really good.
It's so good.
There's a lot of really good in this book, you know?
I mean, here's the thing. I have yet to run into anything really bad or even bad at all. Like,
no,
there's
totally.
nothing... Yeah, that I've really disliked about any of this. So here's the table of calamities. So hit me with a D6.
I rolled a 5.
Ooh, you're impregnated with a demon whose due date is in 1d6 hours. Every hour after that, test guts. On a failure, it tears through your viscera and abdomen, doing 2d6 damage. Yeah, it's fucking terrible. So you roll on the table of calamities anytime you'd fail a ritual, or roll a complication as a 1-1 or a 6-6. So the great thing that I love about the 1-1-6-6 thing is it's the same complications. You just either succeed in what you're trying to do and get pregnant with a demon, or you failed at what you're trying to do and get pregnant with a demon. So like,
I like 6 that an auspice occurs, and just like in that moment wherever you are, like I as the DM would be like, where are you guys? What are you doing? Like you look down the puddle in the road, and looking back up at you is an archon of hell. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
It's so good. Just so much of this is so good. Now we're getting to the flavor bits. I love this page here. It's a great kind of, it's like a target with like this smiling lips, but these teeth are just way too fucking big. Everybody take this shit seriously. You guys better get your act together if you want to make it out in one piece. Go back to your elves and furries if you feel this is too much for you. The night awaits to the break of dawn, baby. So this is getting into a lore section with a lot of roll tables. So randomly rolling some roll tables will probably cruise a lot of this. So this is the Roaring 80s. I love this page with the skulls and bones in the 80s page. So, the Roaring 80s, where being cool matters more than being good, and the way your hair looks while riding that badass chopper is a powerful statement worth risking brain damage. Cell phones look like bricks you carry in a suitcase. The internet is little more than a perplexing digital trick. And MTV has the audacity of airing decent music, and people get to still enjoy to a reasonable extent. The luxury of not giving a fuck about anything but their own private concern. God, man. Are we romanticizing an era? You bet.
You bet.
And then this continues on. Every cultural hint, overused stereotype, absurd cinematic sequence, and cheesy line you can think of will serve you well. When in doubt, turn up the volume. Hell Knight should feel like a mashup of B-movies, awesomeness, in which realism takes a backseat to the raw, over-the-top black comedy horror storytelling. Each game session is called a chapter. It should have its own wicked title and kick-ass introductory track to set the tone. So this is a very like how do you play the game page, and I really like that.
You know what? I'm on this read through with you. I'm growing to appreciate more about this game. That is like kind of on my knocks on. And I don't mean to keep comparing this to Merkborg, but they have some similarities. They share some DNA. Is that I feel like this really embraces the tongue-in-cheek jokiness, whereas like Merkborg, it's definitely implied. But it is like dark and disgusting and gritty, and your teeth are falling out. And this one is like, yeah, that, but also, you know, like embrace the camp cheesy corn of like being in the 80s, like on fire demonic action star. And I like that license a little bit more. And I like that's baked in a little bit more evidently, you know?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think they do it the same way in different ways, as in like Merkborg does, like you pick your nose so much it bleeds and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally.
But I think the difference, and maybe this is what I'm hearing from you, is like the fourth wall breaks, and like the more obvious like tongue-in-cheek stuff just makes it so much more apparent in this one.
Yeah, I think so. Because I feel like I've shown my players Merkborg before, and I don't know that they totally walked away with that thing that we're talking about from it the first time through. But like, if I gave them this, like, they're gonna walk away with like, okay, like,
yeah,
you want levity in your games. Like, being full dark does not work. And like, obviously, like in Merkborg, it's the Gonzo thing. It's like the over the top. But this is like, I don't know. The license it gives to joke around to like break that fourth wall or like lean into that. I think it maybe just speaks to me more.
Yeah, the Gonzo is what popped in my head as you were continuing, and I think, and maybe I'm wrong, I think the difference with that is that like this, even if you've never really experienced this before, you're gonna get. And with like the Gonzo Merkborg, if you haven't really experienced that like weird, dark, like metal to the point it's a joke gonzo-ness, like if you don't have like a frame of reference for it, sometimes it's hard to grasp. And I think that's what I mean sometimes when I say like a lot of like the kind of like shovelware Merkborg stuff. Like I feel like maybe people just like don't quite.
We're gonna get an angry comment from somebody, but you called it shovelware.
I would never like list the ones that I think just aren't good.
I know, but someone's gonna read into it like, he's fucking talking about my project right now.
Hey, listen, everyone should love their project. But I think you're right in the sense that like I think that tone of like the Gonzo super darkness is harder tone to hit on the head just right.
Yeah.
Then this one I think would be a lot more freeing, where like, and it literally even just says like, not sure, who gives a shit, pick a trope and turn the volume up, like just go. Yeah. You're completely right. This one has like almost more of an approachable weirdness than like the dark Gonzo of Merkborg. But yeah, you're right. Like the Venn diagram of this and Merkborg like has a lot of overlap in that. Like I think people that like Merkborg will absolutely love this as long as they don't hate the 80s. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah. Even then,
the 80s.
That's like the easiest part to. You weren't even alive, were you?
No, I was born in the 90s, old man.
I mean, I was alive, but I didn't appreciate it like this. But yeah, I think you're totally right. I think this one just, here's the other thing too. When I first read through this, I was like 80s doom biker stuff. I was like, I don't like hair metal and all the other shit. When I read through it, I was just like, man, that's the easiest part to pull out. And even those parts are the fun parts that I really enjoy. Like when you actually go through the Spotify soundtrack, you're like, oh, okay, I totally, this is like Sabbath and fucking Megadeth. This isn't fucking AC/DC and what are the worst hair metal ones? I mean, I like AC/DC, but like, yeah, it's not Poison and Wasp and shit. You know what I mean? Like it's fucking Megadeth and Caius and shit. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, yes, completely agree. The tongue-in-cheek is fantastic. The fourth wall breaking is fantastic. And the approachable kind of like weird goofiness is really, really cool. And I enjoy it a lot. How do you get to the mortal realm? You travel from hell. You travel from hell to earth and back through hidden cosmic pathways called portals. To find one, you need a hell ride, a successful brains test, and D6 hours of searching. Portals on earth are usually found in abandoned locations, and hell, they're usually found in limbo. Great page here. I really feel like that's Pennywise. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I can't tell. Maybe, actually, yeah.
Yeah. The gang emerges from... Hit me with a D6.
4.
The gang emerges from the last scarlet rays from the dying sun glinting against the road. Red night, the riders come, engines roaring, tires screaming. Pray they find what they seek, lest our endings come to be. I love this page too, of just like the all of the heads of like so many like famous people like all laid out. Like I'm pretty positive that one on the top left is Michael Jackson. We got like the Wolfman. We got looks like a screaming. Is that
Michael Jackson? It might be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying it is. It's just a great shot here. So where are the fugitive archons? Some roam the country as prolific serial killers or leaders of strange cults. Others have become scheming corporate CEOs. A few are already toyed with the ideas of sending to powerful political figures, and some may have assumed the shapes of machines or even buildings. Whatever they are, they must be stopped at all cost. This whole section here, I love it. It's very like a black section in the middle with like half-tone textures all around the outside. This is very legible section. I do really enjoy that once they get to the parts that you like. I mean, I feel like you really need to know the character creation section. It's hardest to read. Like, all of this is incredibly legible. Questing on Earth. The mortal world sometimes seems strange and different to grasp for humans accustomed to hell's savage customs. Frequently, all they get is vague directions. Yeah. Also, remember to collect a souvenir that takes you back home. So, the gang is looking for who? Hit me with the D20.
16.
Ooh, the gang is looking for the Grim Juggernaut. D20 roll table for who you're looking for. Where are they looking? Hit me with another D20.
14.
Ooh, they're looking, sitting on the throne of glass. We heard a howling and a low grave rumbling in the distance, and then we saw them. A little bit more lore here. Great. I mean, I'm not reading through all the lore. You need to, though. The writing in this is so fucking fantastic. Another D20 for where shit can happen.
9.
A state-of-the-art skyscraper. So these are roll tables for, like random shit that happens, like, on Earth. Like, when you're, like, between, like, hunting archons or just while you're on Earth. These are great roll tables for, like, quests or in-between quests or just, like, when random shit is happening. Assorted 80s accessories. Hit me with a D12.
What? 12.
A BDSM leather collar.
Nice.
Dope. So you think death, pain, and wickedness are funny, going around causing havoc? Guess what? It is. Brutal, goddamn awesome, and happening tonight. So there's also a couple sections through where there's like a character, specifically like Geraldo, the Infernal Jester, who like talks through this section too, which is also really fantastic. Okay, there's a D12 quest table, and this is again for Earth. So hit me with one of those.
I rolled a 12 again.
Dope. An extremely sadistic archon has assumed the shape of an immense black truck and is terrorizing Route 66. His reign of terror must stop.
Oh, so, the Grim Juggernaut. That's perfect. You know?
Yeah, so good. Celebrities. There are NPC celebrities, debauchery and mayhem. Another section here from Geraldo the Jester. There's different cults that you can go through. The Children of the New Dawn. Love that. Disciples of Abraxas, the Cabal, you know, something here from Azoria, the Fallen Philosopher. They also wrote the free will section earlier. That's great. Recommended city scenarios, Las Vegas, New York, Mexico City, and Tokyo. And there's different sections for each of that and what's happening in there. But very like cinematic. Like that's where all movies in the 80s happened.
In the 80s are the only real places.
The four cities, that's all that existed. Remember always the universal decree, thou shalt not intervene in the affairs of man. Yeah, sure, fuck that, it says. On the road, random roadkill. Hit me with a D12.
9.
The remnants of what seems like a mutated lizard, his innards spilled across the asphalt. There's a biker gang name. Hit me with 2d12. And then I'm probably going to just cruise through some of these other ones.
5 and 3.
So you are the Morbid Avengers.
The Morbid Adventures. It's just like the regular adventures, but just dark and gruesome in every way.
Anything with a 7 is the best. You could be the Throbbing Pounders or the Throbbing Daddies. Yeah. I mean, I'm going with Throbbing Daddies, but, you know, to each their own. There's vehicle chase mechanics, which are really cool. So you roll a 2d6 for each position. When pursuing an enemy, you must advance d6 positions. Each position requires a corresponding test adjusted by the NPC's level. On a failure, your vehicle takes damage, right? So there's 6 positions. You can do a sharp turn, obstacles in the road, vehicles traveling, pedestrians, poor visibility, enemies, and there's different, you test the different stats for that. And there's range and melee attacks are in here too. Range attacks allow you to attack from a position away, and melee, you have to be in the same spot. And if your vehicle at 0, you crash and roll a complication on the spills and thrills table. So there's a whole table specifically for mechanized stuff.
We have to roll on that table. I know we're trying to cruise a little bit, but we have to for sure roll on that table.
Yeah, hit me with the D12.
D12. A 1.
Ooh, dope. What do we get? Oh, you got flayed. Sun-kissed asphalt exacts its pound of flesh. Leather ruptures. Legs are sundered. A blood-streaked fishtail burn on the highway tells your story. Take 1 damage. One of the things I do really love about this table specifically is there's a lot of like, why is the word escaping me? It's tables inside tables, like, it's not pocketed. There's a word for
tables.
Nested tables. Yeah. So like, for example, like, if you get amputated, there's you do a D6 for which part of you gets amputated, or if you're mangled, it's a different, like ragdoll, face ache. There's like a lot of nested tables in that one, which I really enjoy. There's biker punk encounters, which are cool, like low-level punks, like, you know, anarchic burnt bikers, biker cultists. There's a whole D12 table for that. Marath the Destroyer contemplated the object bewildered. Oh, I love this one. So I'm going to finish what I just said. Marath the Destroyer contemplated the object, bewildered. The shiny metallic surface felt cool in his hands. The bubbling liquid still lingered in his mouth. So much pleasure must surely be a sin. He would definitely bring a dozen or so of these quote-unquote soda cans with him. So, even seen soda for the first time. Beware the American dream. It roams limbo in the mortal realm like a restless, hungering spirit. So, a lot of flavor sections here. There's like a whole 2-page section of like story and bits, which are really, really fucking cool.
There's a big section on hell, I think, is after this next section.
Yeah. We're here to hunt tonight. The asphalt burns. So yeah, hell, abandon hope, all ye who enter here. So everything that we just did, there's a ton of tables for actually doing all of that stuff in hell too. And I really love that because I would do a shitload of stuff in hell. So it says a veil exists between the world above the realms that are, between the world above and the realms that are below, and shadow came into being beneath the veil, and that shadow became matter, and that shadow is projected apart. The hypostasis of the archons, Nagamadi scriptures. So making sense of hell, basically it just says, this is hell. It's projection of earth, but down in hell. There are circles. Archons control the circles. There are many circles as there are needs to be for different type of sins, and the archons actually compete with each other to make the coolest circles. And the only it's called infernal brutalism. Brutalism is my favorite type of architecture to begin with, of course, because I'm a piece of shit edgelord. But infernal brutalism, where literally it can be as like fucked up and dark and cool as you want. The only rule basically is it has to cause punishment and pain. So make anything you want as cool as you want, but it has to hurt. The Dark Master is missing. Authority is challenged. Duties and responsibilities are being like ignored and stuff like that. And that's kind of where you're at. So the Dark Thrones, why shouldn't they seek a rulership that is neglected? You know, the rule is do what thou wilt. So there are do you want to roll on these, or want me to just cruise through what the tables are?
Well, let's just cruise. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm actually in the Galleria right now looking at the art piece.
There you go. So there are D6 there are D6 vistas in hell. Like a bare field consisting of the faces of sinners buried looking upwards. There are, I said D6, but there's way more. There's actually D20 of those, but it says D6 at the top. D6 weather in hell, like it rains blood or broken glass. There's D6 random demons with stats and everything. So there's something like looks like a chaplain with a chainsaw arm. Definitely not him. Oh, it looks like Charlie Chaplin with a chainsaw arm. Level 1 chainsaw +3 HP 8. There is random demonic rabble. I will say that this is some of, I mean, and clearly because black and red and me, this is some of my favorite graphic design throughout the entire book. Like so much of like how many circles are in hell, as many as mankind sins. It's almost all black and red, some splatters of white. It's all demonic and fucked up. Like the regions in hell, the different reality warps caused by archons within their circles. Like blood seeps from nearby crevices and whatnot.
Have you gone over notable archons from the infernal domains? Because there's a face on that I think is maybe my favorite face in this area. It's after archon powers, I believe.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I've gone through the whole thing. Archon powers, archon reality warps. Oh, here's archon powers, like control weather and temperature, transform inanimate objects. Oh, you're talking about the stretched out face?
No, the next one.
Oh, gotcha. Archon protections. So these are cool. So this basically is like an Archon building table. So if you're down there, so like you can be immune to infernal powers. So then you're fucked. Or acid blood. Successful to melee attacks against them, destroy weapons and deal 2 damage. And then, oh, you're talking about this two-faced one?
I don't know why, but I really like it.
It's like, so good. I think there's like
a
2.
Really good...
Oh, I think there's like 2 of these two-faced ones. This is really neat, yeah. This looks like they put it on like a scanner and then like stretched it while they were
scanning it.
So good. But yeah, notable archons from the infernal domains: Berzuth, Marat the Choir, Chorus the Sloth. So these are ones that are in infernal domains, but I think this is a great table that you can also use, like be like, oh, Yorl the infant is now a fucking truck on the whatever. Favorite music. Inferno Decree says the Dark Master's favorite music has to be like blasted throughout hell. So and then why is the Dark Master disappeared? There's a D6 table for where Satan went. I feel like, I don't know, these feel very human to me. So it's interesting that some of them are just like, oh, like they got into a fiery love with a fallen angel and are on a careless road trip. Like I kind of like that. It's just like, oh, like it's so like
I think I would leave that one blank as well. I don't need an explanation for everything. No, like
I think it's interesting, but like I don't necessarily would tell the players that they literally are just like chilling in Vegas, or something, you know. Oh, here's another of those 2-page spreads, the faces like you're talking about. But yeah, the one that you were talking about was But God, I do love the graphic design all the way through the entire thing. A whole section on limbo. There's a D12 quests in hell, which is really cool. So there's the Abyss section, which is great. So basically, the Abyss is where the alien gods of the bygone era, the primordials, await, subdued by deep slumber. And I love this part so much. The lore of this just gets me. The site is guarded by a celestial and infernal kingdom. On one side is the archangel Abaddon, who sits silently, his gaze perpetually fixed on the void below. Some say he is long gone mad or worse. On the opposite side is the archdemon Coronzon. His bitterness as great as a bottomless pit he guards. His schemings earned him this duty. And it says, I, who fought in San Quentin and Antioch, indulged myself in butchery, gorged in the blood of the innocent, their children and their saints, felt the land dark, wet as a devouring kiss. There it was revealed to me a great mouth, greater than all the stars, waiting patiently on the other side. Heed me, for I have seen the world become a parody of itself and scattered like the pieces of a million broken mirrors. The son of Eve crying, whom like man, whom like us? Know that they too will fall like our light bringer did ages past. So good. Limbo is a nexus between worlds. There's a great... This piece is also one of my favorites for the most random reason. It's a spider, but like it's like middle body and head are just the head of a classic 90s like leotard wearing like sweat brow like workout video lady. Love that.
Got the sweatband and everything, you know?
Yeah. Vistas in, there's a lot of hell. Vistas in limbo, randoms encounters in limbo. There's others section, so other bad guys that are, or other like things that are in hell, like Cambions, Celestials, cops. I love this one. So the Kingdom of Hell bars all cops entry. Hell doesn't even want them, so they are condemned to maraud through limbo forever. Dagon, Exorcists, Primordials. Primordials are level 4, and it says variable godlike powers. That's it. Skinwalkers, vampires, everything. And then we get to the end. This is the adventure. So this is chapter 1. Your opening track is Angels of Death by Hawkwing. It's in New York City. You hunt Moloch the Hunger is the quest and the hint. And there's a hint here, which is usually given by the auspice. We're not going to read the adventure because we don't read adventures here. I will say it does. I don't know how you would do it really that much differently, but I will say reading through the adventure, it does feel a little bit railroady. Like it definitely has.
I agree.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if it leaned a little bit more into like a Nate Dream style of like, I just say the parts that I don't like about adventures here to specifically. It's like if the PCs do this interesting thing, they'll find that. And it's like, I feel like that makes the GM go, okay, well then I have to do that thing, versus just laying out the evidence, laying out what's there, and like letting the GM and PCs kind of discover what they want to do. So it does a lot of that, where it's just like, if they do this, they'll get that. If they do this, they'll get that kind of thing. And I'm okay without that. But the layout of it's really great. It looks really cool. It uses the race mechanics, which is a cool way to really like pull that into the first adventure. Again, the layout's great, this entire section. And then we get to the Galleria. So let's scroll through that real quick and then we're done.
I love that it's just like there's a whole subsection at the back of this that is just an art just dump, like where it's just like page after page of a really good, great art for this game.
So it's so good. It's just so good.
Like that is that the first spread? Yeah, the first spread is the most unique of everything. It totally matches the vibe, but it's stylistically totally its own thing.
Oh yeah. This is probably my favorite art piece. Like, yeah, I love this so much. I'm still a green motorcycle guy, a pink backdrop guy.
That's
that one's dope. But this one's got like, I can't even describe it. You gotta, everyone in YouTube, everyone on the podcast, guess what? You're not going to get descriptions of this part for the most part. Go check out the PDF. Watch this on YouTube. We're going to scroll through the Galleria. It's fucking beautiful. Love these. Two great pieces here. Also love these. The gang on the right, the single dude on the left. This piece here, clearly Johan. Couldn't be more Johan.
Wait, which piece?
This piece right here says Hell Knight. Now the dragons for the kingdom back.
Yes, super Johan. I was gonna say that the biker gang around the guy in the desert reminds me of the final circle of hell from Dante Alighieri's Inferno. At the bottom of hell, Satan stands in a sea of ice. And he's like within his mouth, he's chewing on like Judas and Cassius and Brutus. Doesn't really matter, but it really reminds me of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's it. And I really love that it looks kind of like, maybe I'm wrong, but do the faces still look like collage-y to you?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Super.
Okay, cool. It's obviously a background piece of art too. I can see the stars and stuff.
Yeah.
Johan. Yeah, this is clearly Johan piece of art. Love that 2-page spread. The other thing that I didn't mention a whole lot is like dragons still exist in hell, which I mean is a thing. Like there's a dragon down there. Also Tiamat in D&D is also like housed in hell. So I do love that like the dragons still exist, and that's cool. These two spreads that are very, very magazine-y, I love the fuck out of these. Ride Beyond and Behold, and then both of those really great. Like ghoulish one on the right, badass biker chick on the left, badass biker chick on the right with like a scythe. Yes, this collage halftone. This is one you're talking about, right? The
sorry, I was looking at the Roman numerals for.
I assume it's 2022. Oh, 1983. That'll do it.
This like, I would love this as a poster. You know.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, the poster I did. Here's the thing. I do like the poster that I got, but it might be one of my least favorite pieces because I feel like it says the least about like the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's dope because it's like the leather hand with the wrist and like the chain and stuff like that. It's very
That is
biker.
an interesting choice of all the art pieces to do as the poster. It would have been like, I don't mean this in a bad way, but it might have been my last choice.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's fantastic because they're all fantastic.
It's still good, but like, but
I think it says the least about the game.
I think so too. I mean, I would have the Ride Beyond and Behold one. Like, that's the one that I think is like a very perfect poster for this. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Still,
I also think those would also be dope. Like, those look very much like covers of a book too. Yeah, you know. Yeah,
or like they look like the old 1980s posters from bands from a metal band.
Very true.
You know.
But you're right. I would love this as a cover, and I can't wait to get it as a cassette when High Mat drops that. I love the one on the right here too, though. Hell Knight, The Hunt for the Fugitive Archons. That's a great fucking piece. Oh yeah, here's that poster. Again, it's gorgeous. It's a stunning fucking poster. It looks a little bit more like a movie poster to me. And it's a fantastic piece. I really enjoy it. But again, I feel like if I saw that, I would not think of this game. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking for your name in the
Oh, well, A, don't say it out loud for my Kickstarter name, and
I'm
B,
not gonna say your name out loud.
It's not my real name, it's my Kickstarter name. I also love this spread here on the back. With like Satan on the one side and then like the motorcycle and the skulls. There's a quote from Hunter S. Thompson in here too, which is really cool about the Hells Angels. Yeah. And then this. Okay, so I love, this is how you do a character sheet. A, put it in the back of the book, and B, and they do the same thing in Warpland, and I'm pretty sure Neuro City as well. They give you a character sheet and literally right next to it, a filled out character sheet.
Yeah.
Which I love. Like that's such a good thing. Just give me a spread so it shows me how to fill it out correctly. I love that. And then we get to the backers, the Rabble and the Slayers. I'm in the Slayers. There's a QPR code in the back for the playlist that you can find on Spotify that has a lot of the original music as well as just a lot of like thematic music, and it's like 10 hours long playlist. And then the back of the book, which is really fantastic. So that is Hell Knight. I love this game. I love it even more going through it with you. And
I definitely I like it more having gone through it with you as well. Like, I didn't dislike this at first, it just wasn't really my vibe, but like there's a lot of really great stuff in here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And like I said, on reading through it in a rule system that is just written in a much more clear way, I really enjoy this system too. So we'll get to that. I really
enjoy the system a lot more than the last time we read it. And I'm kind of tempted I might go back through Warplans. I'm pretty busy this week at some point and like side by side compare if there are any actual major differences, because I honestly don't remember. So
I think the core system is pretty much the same, and there's just some changes with like characterization guns and stuff like that. But I also want to go back through Warpland 2 with a better understanding of the rules and reread it, because I know I'm going to like it way more now that it makes a little bit more sense. So let's
rate the game.
Let's rate the game. So for those, real quick rundown for review scores. We're going to review Hell Knight. We have 5 metrics that we use. We give up to 10 points each. 5 is not bad. It's just average if we have nothing good or bad to say. I feel like there's a lot more games that should have got 4s and stuff like that. Regardless, if things are just like, meh, it's fine, no good, no bad, it's a 5. 10 would have to pretty much be the greatest version of this we've ever seen. So we have a lot of things between like 5s and 8s. So we have art and layout, which is just visually the art, if we like it, how much there is, all that kind of stuff. And layout, we're talking just visually the layout. Is it enticing? Is it cool to look at and stuff like that? Then we get to usability, which counts all of our digital tools like maps if you need it, bookmarks, legibility, readability, all those kind of things. Like how easy is it to use this book at the table, and how easy is it to parse the information? Rule set is exactly what it sounds like, the rule set. If it's an original rule set, do we like it? If it's adapted, how well is it adapted? Originality is kind of a catch-all for like all of those things combined into various ways. If you do art in a very original way, that counts here. The rule set's very original, that counts here. Et cetera, et cetera. And then value is bang for your buck, not just the cost of the game itself, but what you get in addition. Third-party licensing, online generators, character sheets, any bonuses that you get. So total bang for your buck. Like if you spend X amount, how much cool shit do you get? So starting with art and layout, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I mean, I would have a hard time giving this any lower than a 9.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
it is an art book. Like, it is an art book, and it attempts to be an art book, and it is successful in its attempt to be an art book. It's cool all the way through. Go ahead. What are you going to say? Tell me.
I was going to say, here's the thing. I could theoretically give a 10 to a book that had 0 art in it at all if the layout was so insanely amazing and all that kind of stuff too. So, like, just the fact that there is a fuckload of art in it doesn't necessarily, like, a book that doesn't have any art isn't necessarily just going to get a 5 because it's layout and everything too. But I will say, as far as my brain works, and I'm pretty sure it's the same as yours, when I think of this category, this is the kind of shit I think of.
Yes, totally. This is yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not, you're right, it's not the amount of art, but the art's great.
Insane.
And there's a ton of art, and there is a ton of great art in this. And we'll talk about readability and usability, right? But other than that, like, the layout is cool. It looks very cool. Yeah, I think I'm at a solid 9 for this.
Here's the thing.
Okay, give me your thing.
I'm totally fine giving this a 10.
I actually think we should give it a 10.
Yep. I mean, yeah. Let me pull that up. Like, I just think, like, and not just, again, because of the art so much. There's a lot of great art pieces, but there's way more layout in this than art. Yeah. And it's stunning. It's gorgeous. It's put together in such an insanely interesting way. And let's also readdress the fact that most of this book was handmade and then scanned in. Like, it's not just digital, which is fine if it was, but, like, the fact that most of this was put together old school zine style and then put into the book makes it, that to me is what takes it from a 9 to a 10. To know that so much of this is hand done.
I think of the pages that stand out to me, like the auspices page, right? Where it says it, but it's like that smokestacks and the power, like the power plant kind of looking thing. The fallen page where it's all stretched out, it's got the feather. What's the dark blob monster? What's that on? Duties. The duties. Oh yeah. There's just so much that's very iconic and stands out very well. Okay, but yeah, 10.
And the Galleria in the back, like, just like, hey, let me reach out to some of the greatest artists out there and have them put shit together for this, and just give you at the end of your art book another little art book. Like, yeah, so fucking good. Like, I mean, like, to me, honestly, it's not even an argument to me. Like, my brain, dude. My brain literally just went 10. Like, why wouldn't you give this a 10? But what were you saying about it being an art book?
Oh, I mean, this is like, it's almost like, it's such a good art book that's like a coffee table art book. You're like, no, I leave it on the coffee table because look how fucking cool this shit is, you know?
Dude, if this was twice as big, I would just throw this right on my coffee table, or even half again as big. Like, you could easily just clunk this down, like, increase the heaviness of the paper by like 2, so it's enormous, and like manuscript style this. This is definitely one of the ones that I would just leave out so people can flip through and just be like, what is that? And you're like, oh, that's just, core. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's so fucking cool.
Usability, Ryan.
Okay.
So I am willing to take into account the read-only version.
I agree. I think we should, as far as usability goes, I think we have to look at them together.
Okay.
I do agree with that completely. I
still am going to say that for me personally, it is going to take off that I have to use a second document a little bit to read through things. Like, it is both a positive and also kind of a negative.
Yes. I couldn't agree more. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's just that, like, the fact that you need to have a read-only version detracts. It means I can't read your book. It means I can't read your book.
It means I can't read your fucking book.
And that's fine because it is an art book. Totally understand that. Taking that fully into account, I totally fucking understand that. And here's the thing. You know what it would take for me not to take any points away?
What?
A print of the read-only.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Because then I could use it at the table.
And I think another merit of the read-only is that if you are somebody who is differently abled, who's user or disabled, whatever term you prefer to use for yourself, that uses a screen reader, has a need to use a screen reader, like, that opens up you using this game. Like, and not like, oh, hey, this game's been out for like a couple years and it's really popular, so we're now going to add like a plain print version. Like, hey, we've released this game, and there's a read-through version that is easy for screen readers to grab from. And it's like, okay, well, that gives it a lot of usability, you know?
You know what I do want to do? I'm going to download this real quick, and I should have done it before, so people out there can see what the read-only looks like. Like, I want them to see it, because I will say another thing that like makes it where I can't just like not detract a point is because it is still set on a parchment background.
Yeah, it's got that weird like crumpled paper kind of thing going on. It's not, I mean, I wouldn't quite say it's parchment, but what do I know, honestly?
You know, yeah, but you know, it's like a paper. It's a paper, not parchment. You're right, it's paper. So first of all, I love this cover so much with this like almost really like Catwoman badass on it. So this is how the whole thing is laid out. And I will say that there's a lot more hyperlinks throughout the entire thing. Like you were saying, the rules are all completely hyperlinked. I don't know if you said there are bookmarks in this, right?
There are.
I will say I don't think the inline hyperlinks are hyperlinked in this one either. They're not, which is fine. But here's my only issue is like, so if we look at this section here, that paper background, although I love it, because reading it, I will say stark white for this much will hurt your eyes. So I love that it's got that little bit of a texture. But I would this is asking a lot. I almost want 3 versions. If you're going to give me the read-only, give me one without that background so that I can print it.
Shit, Ryan.
No. So I can print it for the table. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm not going to print this. You know how much black ink it's going to use to print 145 pages of this texture?
Totally.
So if you already have this, just drop off that paper background so it's just black and white as like you have a read-only, have like a print-only version too. I'm sure... Yeah, but this is how, for those in podcast land that didn't see it before, this is how readable the book is by itself. It is still incredibly easy to read. It's big font. It's bite-sized pieces, like you said before. Super fucking easy to read, especially as you said, something like an ADHD. It's really, really good. Like I was saying too, the only way that I wouldn't deduct points for usability is if that would have come in print with the book and I had 2 books, one for a table, one for just being an amazing art piece. So I will say usability, we do have to deduct points, even though it won't be a ton of points, because all the legible sections you can just go to the read-only page, which came with the book. So GM screen, in my opinion, fits with usability. Like this is something that I will use at the table. And it actually has information that I will use at the table. It's got hit points, it's got combat distances, it's got the critical hit tables, it's got the things that I actually need when I'm doing combat. Very legible, very easy to read, bam, right there at the table, and it's beautiful, so that counts into usability for me. And I think the also, digital tools...
If you buy this right now from Exalted Funeral, that actually does come with it still as well.
Dope. Fuck yeah. I think you said this does have bookmarks in the read-only section, right? Yeah, tons of bookmarks in the read-only section. Hyperlinks, no inline hyperlinks, but you know that is a lot. Even though I do feel like that should be the standard, but it's not. But like, so to me, I think it's about standard for usability. With a plus and a minus that I think basically weigh each other out. So where are you at on usability? I mean,
I think the game's in a good order, right? Like the order in which the rules are laid out makes sense. If I need to reference stuff, I kind of already know whereabouts it's going to be. The read-only sick. It does suck that it needs read-only, but like, but I've said before, I said it a long time ago, but I've said this before, and I still believe that every game that's stylized needs a read-only, because if you have to use a screen reader, a lot of times these very artistic books make it hard to pull from. So I think that for me, that's more of a plus than it is a minus. It's a very minor minus. It's more of a plus. I think no inline hyperlinks. I think I'm about an 8, honestly.
Oh, that's higher than where I'm at.
Where are you?
I was at maybe like a soft 7 for this.
Why?
It's where it could be more. You know what I mean? Like, okay. I think you have to deduct a point no matter what, because the book itself is not, you can't read it. Like, you can read it, you can't parse it at the table, right? But here's the thing, I'm deducting 1 and not like 2 or 3 points for literally not being able to read the book, because we have the read-only. You almost give the read-only 2 points because it is a read-only, because of the reasons you said, for especially for people with a need for that. That's really fantastic. I will say, the fact, I was surprised when I saw the read-only that it had that paper background, because that means I can't print it. So that to me makes it so. Okay. I mean, 8 anymore for us is like super high. I feel like the GM screen is great. Could have a little bit more information on it though. It's pretty much just your critical hit tables and the basic stat stuff.
Okay,
so like,
we'll go with a 7.
And I think 7 is extremely generous for usability too, considering it doesn't even have inline hyperlinks, and the book doesn't have a bookmark. Oh
yeah, it's true. It doesn't have a bookmark, huh?
So
you just double check. Yeah, gotta make sure.
I think 7 is pretty generous for this, and like the 7 and 8s for any book on usability is pretty high. Like,
I'm fine with that. It's acceptable to me. Okay.
Rule set. Now that we can understand it,
I mean, it's good. It's really good. I really enjoyed the rules. I would like to play this. I think one of the things we pointed out earlier, getting rid of advantage and disadvantage and just having like pluses and minuses, it's like, man, God, that's good. It's one less thing to like think about or worry about. And like, it makes it like much more ingrained at the table where you're like, well, hey, will this be a little bit easier for me? It's like, yeah, it would be -1 or whatever. Or whatever, +1. I can't remember. You're adding it to the target, not the dice roll. So yeah, I like that about it. I like its 2d6 roll under. I think that's cool and unique enough for me, but also within the realm of what I like personally. Yeah, I like the rule set.
Yeah, I feel like 2d6 roll under stat is a very nice middle ground for you and me, because 2d6 is my favorite. D20 roll under is your favorite. So doing it together, like, I really enjoy it. I like, and having the
complications, like, to give it that kind of like partial success, you know, like.
I do love that. I love that it's, and I also love that it's like you're fucked either way. It's just whether you get what you want and you're fucked, or you don't get what you want and you're fucked. I do like the NPC leveling. I know we missed that when we did Warpland, but I do really like that, like, it auto balances itself based on like what you're fighting. I really enjoy it. I think it's a brutal system. I mean, as far as like the games that I like to run, 2d6 brutal, very low healing. I mean, you're describing like, if I was going to make a game, that's kind of shit I would do. You know what I mean? So like, I really, really, really like the rule set a lot, actually, which is funny because it's the same rule set we gave a 4 to. This is what cracks me up the most, because we gave this a 4.
Hey man, listen, we can read it better this time. I also think the NPC section was weirdly placed in Warplanes, and so that's why we missed it.
Yeah, and we were also so frustrated with trying to read up to that point that we just basically started skimming the rules anyway. I really, what's like, I'm at a pretty easy 8 for this.
Yeah, like, a pretty easy 8 for this one rules wise.
So, yeah, like, I mean, above that, we're pretty much talking about like the best games we've ever played.
I'm really interested to go back to Warplanes, because I really like the setting of Warplanes. And I'm like, oh man, I need to go back and reread the rules.
It's funny, we literally giving the exact same. It's not the exact same because of character creation and stuff like that, because let's also talk about the way they do character creation. My goodness, like the flaws, the armor, like rolling for everything, like all of that, which I'm sure is similar to the way they did in Warpland 2, but my God, so good, so flavorful, so much fun.
And I was thinking also about the, I was thinking about this earlier, right, or at least right when we started talking about this, the like chase rules. Good. Oh, what a good thing it seems like it works really well. And what a good thing to bake into your motorcycle, like Hell Rider game.
You have to, like, how would you not have chase rules? And not only are there chase rules, like the intro adventure has an emphasis on that.
And I think that's a great thing that I think some intro adventures like kind of miss sometimes, is that you want to, if you have these really cool systems and rules, you want to immediately implement them in an adventure so that people are like, oh, that's what this game is. That does that really well.
Dude, every time I think about the rule set more, there's more things I like about it. You know, again, we've only given one game a 10 ever. I don't know if we're ever going to give another one for us to both agree.
That way of 10?
No, I would. That's one where I'm like, it's a 9.6 for me. Yeah, Kingdoms, and that's just because of the layers.
So good. Yeah,
it's so good. I mean, the fact that how dark it is and that Into the Odd, which is like your favorite, like I don't see us ever seeing another game where we both go, yes, perfect. You know what I mean?
Okay, so originality. Back to where we are.
Name me another 80s Doom biker metal from hell game. There might be one.
There might be, man. I could name a bunch of other like really 80s games, but this is like, I like that. The only other game I think that I could even closely, like stylistically compare this to, or thematically compare it to, would be Cyber Metal. And it's not the same.
A little bit.
Yeah. It touches on it, right? Like,
yeah.
But that's kind of the only one, and that's not even really the same thing at all.
But thematically, I get what you're saying in that it's a weird kind of like, I mean, that feels more like 90s punk hell.
Yes.
But thematically, I do think that is from what we've gone through before, that's one that I would think would be closest in the like the web of what is like this. I agree.
Yeah, but I'm trying to I mean, there's a lot of games like that take inspiration from like 80s like metal. Like what's that one Viking space game? Help me out.
Oh, you're talking about Viking Death Squad?
Yeah, Death Squad, Viking Death Squad, or something like that. Yeah, like,
but it's very, very, very specifically is Black Sabbath.
Yeah, and like, it's just Black Sabbath, and it's just that, and it's I think this kind of stands like fairly well on its own, you know.
Yeah. And again, originality wise, I know it's a system that's been used before, but it's the creator's home system. Like it is not an adapted system. It's their own system, which I think plays into originality too. It's an original system in an original setting with an art book that was done mostly by hand. I mean, fuck, dude, like it's way the fuck up there for me. I don't know about you.
It's way up there. I mean, I think also the whole art book done by hand thing adds, like, now that you say that a lot, I'm like, damn, that does add a lot to it. Have we ever given a 10 for originality?
I think one. I think it's Necronautilus.
This might land there for me.
I think so. Here's the thing: when we compare those two, right? Adam also does. Every single page is a different spread. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I just put a bunch of columns, let me put some layout in the back. Every page is done as its own page, which is exactly how this one works too.
Yeah.
You know, and here's the other thing too about Adam is they also do a lot of real world art that then gets ported in, aka Cyber Metal. A lot of that was actually done by hand, inked on screen, and then scanned in. So I think that's a really good comparison is actually out of Vast's stuff, Necronautilus, Cyber Metal, and this, because there were like a lot of similarities to it.
This is either a soft 10 or a strong as fuck 9 on originality for me. You're going to be a deciding factor on this. That's where I'm at. I think the only thing that causes me to pause on giving it a 10 is that it is a system that this creator uses. Like, that's the only thing, though.
But I think that, to me, that's not a detriment whatsoever because it is a creator's home system.
I'm a 10. If we're saying that's not a detriment, then I'm a 10.
So, comparing it to the only time we have, Necronautilus, the thing, when we compare it, let's just go with pros, right? This one is, like, done by hand, setting that really is unique-ish for the most part, as we know.
Right.
When you compare it to Necronautilus, so is theirs, which is literally like anything that dies goes into like the death universe and you are an agent within it. I feel like one of the main things that gave this a 10 is, I mean, Ozo said this, and that Necronautilus has created its own kind of like genre, but it's also its own system for its own game. So I see what you're saying with that, but like the rules themselves were so mind blowing in like the use of words and things like that.
Right,
I'm like,
the words memory. Yeah. Okay. I see.
I feel like I'm okay with him being both. I'd be okay with him being both 10s, but like in my mind, I think Necronautilus, because of the rules to me, and I'm a rules guy, gets the edge. Like it would be like a 10.5. It would be a gold 10 versus the black 10 or black 10 versus gold 10, depending on, you know, whatever Beckett is. You know what I mean? Like one's a 10, one's a pure 10. It's card grading. But
oh, you fucking TCG piece of shit.
So
Okay, let's give this a
I think I'm okay giving it a 10 because of the handmade nature. Honestly, like,
I just think there's. I mean, that's not the only thing for me, but I think that really pushes it like above.
I think that's what pushes it over the edge for me. Realistically, like
10s, a game with 2 10s. This game has 2 10s.
Has 2 10s. Yeah. But honestly, like, I think all of that together, like, it's a unique rule system to the creator. The setting is fantastic. The art and layout are extraordinarily unique and fantastic, and so much of it was done by hand. Like, as a whole project, I haven't seen one like this. And the closest, like we said, is the other 10, which would be, in my mind, Necronihilus, which is basically if this was Doom Metal, if you really think about it, because that is a Doom stoner metal game, and this is an 80s metal game. Like, honestly, like, aside from the fact that I do genuinely think the Necronihilus system far outpasses this, because it far outpasses, like, everything to me.
Right.
I find those to be two of the closest things that I could actually look in my head. Stoner doom metal,
God,
80s
listen,
metal.
If you're listening right now still, and you have ever watched our show, us comparing this actively to more than one Adam Vass project, like Cyber Metal and Necronihilus, is like, that's huge. Pretty much as high a praises that you're going to get on this show.
Yeah, I have a whole top shelf dedicated pretty much just to Adam. Like, we've never been shy about being an Adam Vass Stan podcast. And yes, comparing this to our favorite games from Adam, but also in a way that it stands completely on its own 2 feet in that conversation.
Absolutely. I'm not saying it's like those games. I'm just saying, like, it's up in those upper echelons of our opinion about games, you know?
Yeah.
Damn, we ended up liking this one a lot, huh? Value. So, I have it up on Exalted Funeral right now. Exalted Funeral, you get the game, the poster, the like quad-fold screen, and what else do you get, Damon? I already blanked on it.
Pretty much everything from the Kickstarter, then.
Yeah, you get everything. I mean, you get everything from the Kickstarter. $40.
Okay. I wonder what I paid for it on the. That's not that expensive.
It's not at all expensive. In fact, actually, right now, it is on sale for
because of Halloween.
Yeah. So if you're getting right now, it's $32, bro. That's wild.
Fuck, that is kind of wild. I want to know how much I paid for this. If I paid more on the Kickstarter, I'll be pissed. Okay, no. So here's the thing. On Kickstarter, I paid $26 plus $6 shipping. Extremely inexpensive for this that's in my hand right now. All of this was $26. Crazy on Kickstarter, but all of this for $32 right now.
$32 right now, and even $40 regularly. It's just like, well, shit, man, that's a lot of stuff.
Here's the thing. We've numerous times talked about how insane of a good print Death in Space is, and it's $35, and that's insane. This is not even close to the quality of the cover for. Kind of is a little different, just less foiling. Insane good deal. I will say that's an insanely good deal to get a poster, a screen, the game, hardback. Well, I assume with all the PDFs and everything for $32 right now.
Yes,
normally $40.
With PDF, yeah, you're right.
I think it's a great fucking deal.
Always with PDF, like they're really good about that.
The other thing too, if a PDF exists, Exalted pretty much gives it to you. I will say. There is soundtrack that you can look on Spotify. I think that's cool as fuck. Just like No Future had a soundtrack, I think having that as an additive to their game is a fucking cool thing to have. I think the fact that there's already a tape that exists for Hell Knight out there in the world that you can get on Bandcamp is cool. I think the fact that they have another official soundtrack in digital and also coming to cassette is more value, in my opinion. There's just more stuff you can have. You can really set the scene for your game with it. I think this is an insane value. I think this is a really fucking good value. Like, in my opinion, it's not free, so it can't be a 10. It doesn't have like a shitload of online generators, so in my opinion, it can't be a 9. But I think this is about as solid a fucking 8 as you can get.
I think it's a solid 8 as well, actually. That's kind of where I was. God, this game got a fucking high score. Jesus Christ.
I love the games where we talk about it beforehand and you're like, yeah, it's cool or whatever. And then by the time we get to the end, you're like, no, actually, this is really fucking good.
I always, listen, us going through these is always a different experience for me just reading it on my own. So, and like a lot of times I see things from your perspective, I'm like, damn, you're right, actually. I totally get that. You know.
Bro, you know what's funny?
This is now our highest ranked game.
I think it is tied as our highest fucking ranked game ever. I mean, let me double check real quick here. Let me go into the weekly score. Let's go to scores. Let's look at the updated. Yeah, so no, it is 1 point less. The highest score we've ever given out is for Merkborg. And honestly, this is why I want to go back and redo, because our scores aren't even the same as they were back then. Like, we don't even have the same 5 metrics.
Yeah.
But it got a 44. And the next highest, okay. The next highest is Necronihilus at a 43.
I'm good with that. I think that's where this game kind of deserves to be floating. You know?
Yeah. And honestly, if we went back and looked at Necronihilus right now, they've added some extra content to it. We'd probably bump value up to an 8. It's probably out at a 44 too. So this immediately goes into the top like 2 or 3 games that we've ever reviewed. At a 43. Let me just double check my math, because I'm bad
good
at
with
it.
that. Honestly, I just checked your math. It's 43. But like,
yeah,
I'm good with that. I think that's where this should be.
Yeah. Here's the other thing too. As I said, going into it, I thought the part that I would like the least was the 80s part of it, but it's actually the best part of the 80s, which is like the heavy metal side of it, not the hair metal side of it. And the other thing is, this is so easily adaptable. We talked about this before it started. There is such a tiny bit of flavor that you would have to do to turn this into like medieval. You know what I mean? And the Archons are out on the thing too. Yeah, but there's no reason to.
You know, your Hell Ride is a fucking pale horse, you know?
Yeah. You're 100%. I think this is exactly where this belongs. And I think as like one of the top games that we've ever reviewed, I think it's really, really, really fucking good. I think that anyone that's listening to this right now should go check out Hell Knight. And if you like Exalted Funeral right now, $32 is insane. 2 things also with this game as well. Also, don't forget Sigil, the Mirror to Reality, is on pre-save right now on Kickstarter for a card game set in this world. I don't have a set. I'm gonna try to grab that. It's a card game that that the creator had previously put out. I do want to check that out. So definitely want to go check out anything that's going to come out with Hell Knight. But also, as far as I remember, I think that, and maybe I'm completely wrong. I hope I'm not. Daniel Nogueira's new podcast. Have you listened to that at all?
No, I haven't.
If you go check out, I don't know why my brain is completely blanking on me. It's like weird. I don't want to say Diego Nogueira. My brain broke for a second. But if I go to my podcast here, it is called Weird Games and Weirder People. First of all, Diego Nogueira, amazing artist, designer, everything. Check out everything that Old Skull Publishing has ever put out. Old Skull Publishing that they've ever put out. Really fantastic. But they have an episode dropping, as far as I know, tomorrow with the creator of this game on Halloween. So check out their episode, and then our episode will probably drop in like a week because I'm a lazy piece of shit. But you definitely, if you're listening to this, go check out Diego's podcast for what will be, it looks like episode 13, talking with Gavriel Nogueira, or Gavriel Quiroga. My brain is breaking. I'm sorry, all of Latin America. Definitely check out all of that. But this has been Hell Knight. Love this game. Obviously, one of the top rated games that we've ever reviewed. I think it's the second highest score we've ever given out. $32 on Exalted. Go check it out. I'll drop all of the links as long as I remember under podcast and YouTube. That's all I got. Hunter, what do we got coming up? For those listening.
Hey, coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
Oh yeah, coming up tomorrow. So this will not be out before this drops. So if you're listening to this, go check it out. We're going to be running a Halloween episode of 10 Candles on the Adventure Archive side of the channel, where I will be running a Black Death, Black Plague set in England, 1348, 10 Candles adventure. Yeah. So go check that out on the TAA side. And coming up for us on Thursday, we have interview with some of the creators of Orbital Blues. And on Friday, we're doing a side quest of Orbital Blues run by Josh Demansky with myself, Hunter here, and Marco Serrano of Spicy Tuna. Very excited for that. Super excited for that.
I'm super excited. I'm
no
actually
prep
going to listen
for
to
layout or anything.
I'm gonna listen to Marco's episode of Weird Games and Weirder People because he goes on episode. So
there you go. And also don't forget, and we'll talk about this more on Orbital Blues, but they have Afterburn Kickstarter going on right now, so check that out as well. But we'll talk about that more on the other episode. But that's it. I got to get to work. Hunter, fantastic game, fantastic person I'm talking to. Have a wonderful evening. Find all of our socials on our link tree, the Weekly Scroll, and good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye.